please raise your hand, or you can, interrupt. I mean, or maybe wait for that particular topic to complete and probably can put up the questions so that so basically from each other's interaction we could make more learning and more interesting about this topic. So welcome to the first module, stakeholders and their laws, drone rules 2021. So this is the most important module of the entire training. I mean, all other modules are also important, but this gives you a very big information, or I would say clarity with respect to the drone rules which was introduced in 2020. So before we begin to the drone rules, let's see the history first about the aviation world. Okay, so what we talk about is the international rules, regulations, standards, and practice. So if you see the since the first flight was taken in US, okay, by the Wright brothers, you know, aviation world has grown immensely. It was started initially just like out of curiosity of flying, man being flying into the air, and then like a bird, and then we started developing different types of aircraft and all the things, and over the period of almost like 40 years, we were able to get the aeroplanes in the air. People were flying from one city to another city, or from one state to another state, or one country to another country, and it was very much into the usage. If you see the earlier history of aviation, it started initially aviation for delivering the air parcels, okay, or the mails. Mail. It was introduced initially for a mail service from one location to. Even in India, what JRD Tata started their first aviation of flight from Karachi to Mumbai was basically for the mail delivery only. Okay, and then later on it becomes commercial. People started, flying in the aircraft from one city to other city. That's how the transportation of this industry has grown. So, but as you see, we were flying within the city, or within the two cities, or within two states or two countries. People across the world felt that we need some uniformity or some agreement between the nations with respect to the technical, economics, legal, operation matters with respect to the civil aviation. So there was a treaty of establishment of international organization was signed on December 7th, 1944 at Chicago Convention. Okay, so all the initially there were 36 contracting states. So when we say contracting states, means nations. Okay, so International Civil Aviation Organization was formed, headquartered at Montreal, Canada. Okay, which has 36 states coming together, signing a common treaty where they will be focusing on the operation of the civil aviation with respect to the technicals, with respect to the economics, with respect to the legal, with respect to the operational matters, so that all the things are uniform when we are flying a aircraft within the states, within the city, or within the countries. Okay. However, as we have progressed almost for 100 years now, okay, more than 100 years we are flying, or civil industry is almost more than 100 years. By 2015, okay, we'll see in the next slide more. ICAO, with respect to RPAS, okay, that is Remote Pilot Aircraft System, they thought that we need to have a uniformity because we were seeing that drones were flying. So the moment we had an aviation industry begin by Wright brothers, subsequently there was a war in 1914, the World War One, and people thought that we should have utilizing the aircraft also in the war, and that's where actually initially aircraft were used. Maybe for surveillance, initially it was not a direct application of the aircraft into wars, but at least to keep a surveillance or reconnaissance of the environment of the enemy territories or the places, and capturing the photographs of those locations, and coming back and putting up a strategy and all. So there were people were flying aircraft. There were aircraft which were remotely flown also. Then people have come up with idea, you fly a remotely aircraft and crash land on enemy territories, kind of things also. So that's where the remote pilot aircraft system comes into the picture. So, though it was a history of almost 100 years for the remote pilot aircraft systems also, but ICAO took it very seriously when the small drones were actually flown. So that also thing started from 2000. 2000, 2001 onwards. So last almost 24 years, people have been using drones very extensively, or the small size drones, not the drones flown by the military or defense people, but the commercial people or the normal civilians who were actually utilizing the drones. So 2000 onwards, people have started initially utilizing the drones with respect to aerial photography. So if you see from the history, 2000 onwards, actually drones comes very much into the day-to-day utilization with respect to the photography and videography. And then almost 15 years people were using it, but there was no regulations or no clarity on how and what to be used. Then in 2015, ICAO formed a committee with respect to the RPAS, Remote Pilot Aircraft System, keeping in mind three aspects. One is the international instrument flying operations, then global interoperability with regards to certificate of airworthiness, operator certificate, and remote pilot license. So these are the three key components or sub-components, I would say, with respect to the global interoperability. And then national authority focus, framework for domestic operations. Like within India, I want to fly a drone, we should have a one common rules and regulations. So what would be that rules and regulations with respect to the domestic operation? So with these three aspects, ICAO formed a committee uh, where they have pulled people from their regular aviation world, group members from like airworthiness, air traffic management, detect and avoid systems, human performance, pilot licensing, remote pilot aircraft system operations, then keeping in mind the safety management, communication, and C2 links. So all the key important aspects, they have pulled the people from different segments, and they form a working committee with respect to RPAS to generate regulations, standards, or a practice which was released in 2015. Okay, so Aircraft Navigation Commission in 2015, a single point of for all the US related matter in ICAO. So that is the committee which actually derives the rules, regulations, standards, and practice across the world, and which are being adopted by different countries. So US was the first. US, Canada, Brazil, South American countries, or even European countries or Australia, New Zealand, all these developed countries initially adopted these ICAO standards in 2015, 2016, and they started using. So the first drone rules were introduced by FAA in 2016, and in first year itself, 2016 to 2017, almost US has almost already 1 lakh drone pilots, certified drone pilots. Okay, whereas India was still getting into this mode or development and all the things. Though we started our drone journey same time, 2000 onwards, 2001 onwards, but it really kick started in 2010. Okay, and 2010, there were some people who were doing as a hobby, or out of curiosity, trying to build their own drones and all the things. So I hope you people must be aware of the movie called Three Idiots, and you must have seen a drone shown in that movie, used by one of the actor. I mean, what? So that drone was made by the three IITians from Mumbai, IIT Mumbai, and they actually, their drone was used into the movie. And further on in 2014, they formed their own company, and now it is the one of the biggest company in India and successfully running. It has its own IPO also and all. So that's the name of the company is Idea Forge, and subsequently, lot many companies were established. I would say we really still don't have much of the clarity on the drone flying or drone regulations and all in India. It started from 2018 onwards. Okay, 2018 we had the first set of rules, uh, which was very complicated and complex. So we'll talk more about it. So before that, let's see about the aviation, how in India the aviation was introduced, or what rules we had in aviation. So the first act, I would say, was in 1934. The first law passed in India to regulate the civil aviation industry, for making better provision for the control of manufacturing, possession, use, operations, sale, import, and export of the aircraft. So this was the first rule, which was or act which talks about whether how you can manufacture your own aircraft, whether you can own your own aircraft, or you can use it, or you can run a company for operations, or maybe make the aircraft and sell them, or import or export aircraft from outside countries also. So this Act 1934 Act, when we say Aircraft Act 1934, it talks about the entire about the aviation world. Subsequently, in 1937, there were some amendment was there, which is called as aircraft rules. So because this is more focused on the operation side, which applies and to a person on an aircraft registered in India, aircraft operators in India, as well as aircraft for time being in and over Indian airspace. That means you may not be having aircraft registered in India, you may not be a pilot from India, but at that any given point in time, let's say you are flying from Germany and you are on the Indian airspace. So that point in time, you have to follow the aircraft rules 1937. Okay, so whatever the rules or mentions or whatever the guidelines is been defined in these rules, you as a pilot you are entitled to follow those rules during your presence in the Indian airspace. Okay, so in India, any amendment with respect to the rules or regulations, they are been released in a form of called CAR. We call it as a CAR, which is actually a civil aviation requirement. So CAR was released in 2018 for the RPAS under the provision rule of 15A and rule 133A of aircraft rules 1937. So first regulations with respect to the RPAS was released in 2018 uh, under the aircraft rules 1937 under the provision of rule 15A and rule 133A of aircraft rules 1937. So these are some basics about knowing the Indian aviation. Like when we talk about Aircraft Act, we talk about 1934. When we say aircraft rules, we say 1937. Okay, car. Whenever there is an amendment into anything related to civil aviation, there is a car document is released. A civil aviation requirement document is released, which will probably had some amendment or some new rules or regulation being imposed with respect to civil aviation. For example, like in 2003, up till 2003, we were not having clarity what is called as dangerous goods. Okay, so in 2003, there was a car released which talks about what is being termed as a dangerous good and what is not or cannot be carried into the aircraft. Okay, so that was defined. So that's how the car would be released whenever there is any amendment or any change required into rules and regulations. So any questions you have on the Indian rules and regulations?
No, good so far.
Okay. So again, there are a couple of documents which have been released with respect to the civil aviation. So first is AIP, which we called as Aeronautical Information Publications. It's a prime document containing permanent information of a long-term validity essentials for flight operation. It is published by each ICAO states for its territory. So this AIP document is basically like what type of what type of aircrafts you have, what airports you have. All that information is released by a government or maybe a state aviation. Like for in India, it is Civil Ministry of Aviation, which has a department called DGCA, okay, which releases this AIP document, which talks about more about what kind of airports, where we have, all the facility related to flight operations requirement. Those are been released and they have been amended as we know as we build more and more aircraft, more regulations and all that thing. So that AIP document is more from a perspective of civil aviation and the airport operations or the flight operations what we conduct within our country. NOTAM is nothing but it's a again a document which actually transmitted by means of telecommunication containing information concerning to establishment, condition or change in aeronautical facility. Like for example, Mumbai Airport. Mumbai Airport will release a NOTAM. Okay, so notice to airmen. It is a full form of notice to airmen. So what does it will say? Let's for example, Mumbai Airport is upgrading or has upgraded its radar facility. So earlier the radar was some range of let's say 6 kilometers, and they now have upgraded their radar, which has a capacity of 50 kilometers of range. So that's how they will, using a NOTAM document, they will release so that the pilots across the world who are actually are flying across Mumbai or over the Mumbai, they should know what kind of facility each airport is having. So whenever the pilots are building a flight plan. Let's say I am flying from Mumbai to Delhi. So I will be flying from Mumbai, Surat, Vadodara, Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Delhi. So subsequently airports would be coming. So I will be always seeing if there is any change into the facility perspective. Could be. I mean, it's not necessary every time. I just gave an example about the radar. It could be a very simple basic. Like there was, I have seen couple of now airports are adopting for a green fuel or green energy kind of thing. So a lot of airports are installing solar panels, and they are being powered. There are a lot of equipments are being powered by a green power, some kind of thing. So that is a change in the facility, or new service has been incorporated, or even sometimes we upgrade the aircraft, like new terminal comes up and all that. So all these new changes with respect to the facilities or the service, or maybe the procedure, or there could be any hazard. Like we recently heard that Terminal One of the Delhi airport was not functional for some period because of the renovation was going on. So there were only Indigo flights were going from Terminal One, whereas the rest of all other flights were diverted from Terminal Two or Terminal Three only. So only Indigo flight was. So this was a change. So this change was known to the pilots or the people used through a NOTAM document. Okay? So clear on the AIP and the NOTAM documents. So you can go to the respective websites and download this document, or see the changes if there is any amendment with respect to the facilities or the procedures or the services being offered by the uh, establishments. Okay, so let's move ahead. So as I said, the first car was released. So coming back to the drone rules. So initially, the car was released in 2018. It was very complex document, and that point in time, more or less, there was a civil regulation rules which we followed, the Act 1934 and the Rule 1937, which we were following for our civil aviation, and subsequent amendments were there to those documents, which we are using for the normal civil aviation. But there was no document or there was no rules and regulations, even for simple, like, I mean, there were a lot of aero modelers, who were actually flying a miniature aircraft and using the radio control and all that. So they also fall under the remote controlled aircraft kind of thing, or maybe similar kind to drones. So in 2018, the car was released, and even the aero modeling part, or the aero modeling aircrafts, remotely controlled aircraft, were also was part of the drone rules 2021 uh, regulations. So in 2018, when these rules has come up, it had a lot of complications. I mean, a lot of people were not happy. People were not able to understand. It has almost like 75 forms, and the registrations or whatever the fees was incorporated by the government of India was too high. I mean, it was something which was like whether to follow or not to follow kind of document. So a lot of people had reported back to DGCA that these rules needs a lot of amendment, or the clarity is required and all the things. So DGCA took this seriously, and somewhere around 2019, 2020, though we were into a critical time at that point in time, we were into pandemic, and COVID was on a very top notch. Uh, People were concerned about their health and body, but parallelly, DGCA was also working on the drone rules, and they have approached a lot of organizations which are related to the aviation world, or were involved into the aero modeling, or even drone flying, or drone building and drone flying. So almost like 25, 28 people were selected across pan India, and the first set of rules or the draft rules was released on 15th of July 2021, and they have given 1 month of time for these people who are belonging to aviation world or drone world to review this document and come with suggestions or amendment or any change required and all the things. So these people spent almost a month, and based on their understanding or their thing, they have given the suggestions back to DGCA, whatever were appropriate. There were a lot of back and forth meetings were happening, or conference or seminars were held, and on 25th of August 2021, the first Drone Rules 2021 was released, which had a component called as type certification. So if you are intending to build a drone and make a manufacturing process for it, like you want to build and manufacture it for more number of drones and sell it to the people, you have to go through a called process called type certification. So how to do a type certifications for the drone? Then, as you are making drones, we need to make sure that drones are being registered. Like how whenever we purchase a car, or whenever a car manufacturer makes a car or builds a car, they do the registration. So normally, initially, the cars were not registered; they were only part of the manufacturing company. But once you purchase it, it has been registered on your name. Whereas in drone world, whenever you build a drone, because you are under the type certification rules and regulations, you will always build a drone. You will get it registered on your own name. So any OEM who is actually building a drone, he will initially get that registered on his name. Later on, like I purchased that drone, or Akash purchases drone, or Vinci purchases the drone, it will be transferred either on their company's name or on their individual's name. So we'll see this all process, how these are been defined into the drone rules 2021. Then, as we saw that drones will be built, drones would be registered, drones will be flying. So we need to establish a training institute. So there was a guideline set for the approved drone training schools, which we now call as RPTOs, remote pilot training organizations. And eventually, these training organizations would be training people, which would called as a drone pilot, and then they will be issuing a drone pilot license. Since we'll be flying the drones, there is a chance of sometimes some accidents or some incident would be happening, and there could be a damage to the person's life or property. And with respect to that, the insurance plays a very key role. You need to make sure that whatever drones you are flying is having a third party insurance. It's a mandatory. Okay, so how does that comes into the role, or how that is important, we'll see in the subsequent slides. And then when we are flying a drone in within Indian airspace, the Indian airspace is divided into three segments: red, yellow, and green. So permission for flying in yellow and red zone is required, whereas no permission for flying in a green zone. Okay, so you don't really require to have a permission in a green zone, but with certain rules and regulations, and seeing which locations you are flying the drone. Okay, so we'll see more details on the drone rules. So before I begin to explore and give you the clarity about the drone rules, are you aware of the drone rules 2021? Have you gone through any point in time, or do you have any understanding or any background? I would like to hear from you guys.
No,
No,
I
I
have
do
not
not.
gone through.
No, even I have not gone through.
Haven't really haven't really gone through the rules, but we knew about the green zone and red.
Okay. So we may have over the course of time, last 3 years, since our drone rules are just 3 years old, as I said, that on 25th of August 2021, okay, they were released to the Indian people, or the Indian government has released these rules, and we really started. So our drone industry is just 3 years old, and by 20,
Yeah, we are very late in the game. We
they
started
are
the
very late.
flying the drones in 2015 with no rules, and then suddenly all the rules were enforced recently.
Yeah, yeah. So we are just very late into this game, but we intend to become a global drone hub by 2030. Okay, so next 7 years we are catching up. We are actually, I mean, I would say by 2021, 2022, initially we had only 20 startups working into the drone industry, and now we have more than 250 plus startups in this space. And lot of people have taken different segments of this industry and building the ecosystem. Like there are some startups who are actually building the drones for specifically for agriculture, surveillance, infrastructure management. There are people who have taken up the hardware part of it. Like there are a couple of companies or startups who are building the motors, ESCs, batteries, the flight controllers, propellers. So the entire ecosystem, made in India kind of ecosystem, in last 3 years have got up a very good state. I would say in last 1 year we have a phenomenal growth. I would say in the drone industry. Um, Almost, I would say, if you see 1 year back, we talk about the companies manufacturing or people who have registered their drones under the type certification were hardly, I would say, 27 or roughly say 30. Okay, but today when I speak to you, we have 104 type certified drones in Indian market. So that means almost 104 types of valid drones are available, be it in agriculture, surveillance, photography, or whatnot. Okay, even for defense also. So we'll see what type of drones have been developed, who are the companies who have developed these drones, and over the as we learn more and more. Again, rules and regulations. A lot of people hear about red zone, green zone, yellow zone, but there is absolutely no clarity. Even you search on Google, you will get information, but you will not see the way it is to be read or way to understand them. Okay, then registration of the drone is also very simple. Every drone you own, you fly, you should register it. Okay, like you have your car, you always get it registered, and then you drive the car. When you are driving a car, you make sure that you have a valid license. Similarly, when you are flying a drone, you should be a registered or a certified pilot, who is ensured that knows rules and regulations, safety protocols, and the zones concepts. You are clear on all that. Okay, so let's see. So there is a document. Okay, I will not disclose the document at the day one because or the immediately now. By end of this module, I will show you the document. It's a document, very complex document, though it's very simple from the earlier car which was there released in 2018. This document is pretty simpler, but still very complex to understand because it's written in a very difficult language. To interpret or to understand a lot of time we will not be able to make out what is it saying or what is trying to say. So we have put our efforts to put it in a format of a slide so it becomes very easy and understand them. Once we have gone through the slides, then we'll see that document or this thing. And by end of today's session, I will be sending you the summary sheet document, which will be talking about every module which I am taking. Probably today we'll be taking 5 to 6 modules. So all the modules will have one summary page. So like that, there are 11 modules. So all the 11 modules will have a 11 summary sheets. Okay, so that 11-page summary sheet document, which you need to, end of the day, I will be sending it. You can take a printout. You need to go through them because that will be helpful for your theory test. Okay, so you run through that document, read that document. Not necessary to read all 11 pages in one shot or one go. Read one topic at a time. Maybe just read, go through them. It has almost everything what I am talking about, what I am saying about. Okay, and which will be helpful for your theory test also. So let's start the drone rules 2021. Okay, so the drone rules 2021, which we called, which classifies and categorize the drones. So UAS, which stands for Unmanned Aircraft System. Okay, so UAS are categorized as rotorcraft, aeroplane, and hybrid. Okay, so there are three types of unmanned aircraft systems or drones. Drones can be categorized with respect to drone rules 2021. Either it could be a rotorcraft, it could be aeroplane, or it could be hybrid. So when we say rotorcraft means the four propellers, okay, four or more propellers. Whereas aeroplane means it's similar to your aeroplane, but it is unmanned. That means there is no pilot inside the aircraft. It is flying remotely or unmanned it is. And third is hybrid. When we say hybrid means it's the combination of rotorcraft and aeroplane. So it acts in one phase as a rotorcraft, in another phase it acts as an aeroplane. So that's we call it as a hybrid. Or the another name for hybrid is VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing. Okay, so a lot of people will say VTOL, VTOL. So VTOL is nothing but it's a categorized as hybrid drone. If you see from the classification, Indian government has classified the US in 5 types. Okay, the first type is nano, which is less than 250 grams. Then we have micro, which is 250 grams to 2 kg. Then we have a small class, which is from 2 kg to 25 kg. Then we have medium, which is again 25 kg to 150 kg. And large is above 150 kg. So this is how the classification of US is done under the Drone Rules 2021 in 5 classes: nano, micro, small, medium, and large. Are you clear on the categorization and classification of?
Can you please repeat the classification in terms of kilograms?
Yes. So if you see the classification with respect to the unmanned aircraft system under the Drone Rules 2021, nano is less than 250 grams. Micro is about 250 to 2 kg. Small is from 2 kg to 25 kg. Medium is about 25 kg to 150 kg. Large is above 150 kg. Clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. See, I have not specifically put the definitions over here because I want you to understand them. Because when you read the drone rules, it would be similar to this type of thing. Okay, here you are not getting any clarity. Here you might feel, "Arey, matlab, how do I mean?" Whenever even I, as a student, when I was started learning about drone rules for even basic category. I mean, I just talked about the category. There is a subcategory to also it. Okay, but we need to unfold one by one, in a structured way. So my approach would be more to make it more simpler, more structured, and more easy to remember. Because whenever we talk, when we speak, we should be very clear on the drone rules. Okay, so categories is rotorcraft, aeroplane, and hybrid. We'll see the subcategories also in subsequent slide. And then classifications is nano, micro, small, medium, and large. So clear on the definition of classification for each class. So we are going to fly in our training. We are going to fly a drone of small class, which range is from 2 kg to 25 kg. So we are going to fly a agri broad drone, which is almost 24.90 kg. Okay, so that's heavy, such a heavy drone we are going to fly. Okay, it's used in agriculture field. So we have not, a lot of RPTOs have been incorporating a small training drone, which would be weighing less than, I mean, not less than, within 2 kg to 5 kg of weight. Okay, a small training drone. There are small training drones are available, cheaper drones are available for training purposes, but we have not utilizing those type of drones. We thought that we wanted to give our students an enterprise kind of understanding or learning of drones. Because when see flying a DJI drone is very simpler because they are light in weight, they are completely autonomous, and you really don't fly that drone. Like it's like sitting in a Tesla car and you say you're driving a Tesla car, something like that. So those drones, when you fly, you feel that you are flying, but when you actually fly the actual enterprise drone, like in a small category or even medium category, you will feel that there will be a fear of flying, whether you are flying properly or not, whether you are able to take off properly or not, whether you are able to maneuver the drone in the air or not, or whether you are able to process the landing properly or not. All that things will be always there because looking at the drone, it see small drone is like a toy drone, so we don't care about it. But when we are flying a class of a drone, a small class of a drone, you will feel that pressure. So you need to follow rules, regulations, procedures, SOPs. Whatever been the training has been imparted by the instructor. You should follow that properly. And as I said, I mean, I would be talking to you guys during the admission process, or whenever you had made the inquiries. I told you that we'll be flying the drones in a setup such a way that there are two people flying the drones. So we always form a team of two people. Okay. For example, like Akash and Ankita could be one team, Vinci and Hari could be one team. Like that. So there will be two people. Let's say when Hari is flying the drone, he is pilot in command. Okay. That point in time, Vinci is actually a pilot, co-pilot kind of thing. So he will be actually seeing how Hari is flying the drone, whether he is flying the drone as per the instructions given by the instructor. Okay, whether he is following things properly or not, and vice versa. When Vinci is pilot in command, Hari would be actually monitoring and helping him to fly the drone very effectively, efficiently, and following the proper procedures. That's how you actually learning. So we have seen that earlier. Like we have introduced the similar concept when we had actually doing it in aviation world. Okay, so whenever the pilots have been trained, so most of the time you would have seen there are two people who are actually flying the aircraft. There would be a pilot, and then you would have a co-pilot or second pilot. Okay, so normally in that scenario, we have seen that there is always a good teamwork, good effective learning of the flying skills. When there is an individual who is flying on his own, so he is left on his own. So whatever he can think, he can think. If everything is going smooth, everything is going proper, there is nothing to worry. But if there is some kind of emergency or some kind of thing which has been missed by the pilot, the co-pilot always help him or make him remind all those things. Like you may forgot something, or you may not be doing it in a right procedure way and all this. So whenever we have seen whenever there are two people flying the drones, we have seen that it was really a good experience for those people. They have learned it more effectively from our past students also, and we have seen that it is a great collaboration among the people when they are working in a team. Okay, so coming back to the topic, the categories: rotorcraft, aeroplane, and hybrid. So we will be actually flying a rotorcraft drone under the class small. Okay, so here, see, if you see this slide, I have purposely not put any definition, neither I have put any pictures. Purposely I put it because this will emphasize on your mind or generate a curiosity. What is this nano? How does it nano? I mean, from a pictorial point. So let's see further. Okay, so next slide, categories of US. So when we talk about the rotorcraft, you can see here rotorcraft is nothing but four or more propellers, then it is a rotorcraft. Aeroplane is similar to your aeroplane structure, the way your aeroplane flies or a glider flies. Okay. And the combination of rotorcraft and aeroplane is your hybrid. So this is also called as VTOL. Okay, so VTOL is nothing but vertical takeoff and landing. Whereas if you see aeroplane, here it will require some kind of a mechanism to take off. Either it would require a runway, or it needs to be pushed by the hand, or it may be need to be catapulted. Okay, so there could be some mechanism for aeroplane. Rotorcraft is again VTOL, kind of VTOL only, because it doesn't require any runway. It can just take off from where it is in a vertical position and then flies. Okay, the combination of aeroplane and rotorcraft is your hybrid. So this is how your three categories of unmanned aircraft system is been defined in Drone Rules 2021. Now to these three categories, there is subcategory. Okay, subcategories is like first is remote piloted aircraft system. That means you have a remote pilot in your hand, a remote controller in your hand, and you are piloting this type of drones. It could be an aeroplane, it could be a rotorcraft, or it could be a hybrid also. So you are actually seeing the drone, you are flying that drone. Okay. Second is autonomous. Okay, in this mode, you have a remote control, but you have actually what do we say programmed it. Okay, so like for example, in agriculture, when we are flying a drone in an agriculture field, we are not actually flying a drone in a manual mode. Okay, so the first category, subcategory, what we talked about, remote pilot aircraft system, that's a manual way you flying the drone. Okay, you are controlling the drone. Whereas in autonomous, you are programmed to fly that drone on its own. Okay, so that's the autonomous. Third or the last subcategory is model RPAS. The model RPAS means a drone which is not certified, which is less than 25 kg, and it is only used for recreational activities, or maybe a research, or you are trying to build a prototype. Okay, when you are doing this, that type of aircraft or that kind of unmanned aircraft system is called as model RPAS. Before any drone getting certified, which is less than 25 kg, there are some criteria to define as a model RPAS. Okay, so that is what it is called as model RPAS. So subcategories are remotely piloted aircraft system or RPAS. Then there is a model RPAS, and then there is called autonomous UAS. Okay, so we'll be flying rotorcraft. We'll be flying under remotely piloted aircraft system, and we'll be flying a class from small. Okay, that's why you must have seen the first slide when I was showing. It was talking about rotorcraft, then RPAS, and then we have sent something called as VLS, that is visual line of sight. Okay, for small rotorcraft. Now let's see what is the classifications. We talked about nano, which is less than 250 grams, a small toy drone, probably even DJI Neo is falls under this category of nano. Then we have a micro, which is 250 grams to 2 kg. Okay, then we have a small class in which we are actually going to fly. So that is between 2 kg to 25 kg. Then we have medium, which is 25 kg to 150 kg, and large, which is greater than 150 kg. Now, if you see the medium class, though it is said 25 kg to 150 kg, currently Indian government has limited medium class only up to 50 kg only. So as of now, whatever the medium drones people are authorized to fly, they are only limited up to 50 kg. Nobody has a license to fly even more than 50 kg of medium class drone. Okay. Again, there are drones which are developed like 100 kg of drones are getting developed for supply or logistics and all the things, but they are still into the development stage or design stage or research stage. A lot of people are just build a drone and they are testing it. No drone has been certified under the large class. Currently, only micro, small, and medium, and even nano. The nano drone you really don't require to certify, or you don't require to register, but there are people who are registered their nano drones also. Okay, whereas micro, small, and medium, these are the three classes where we need to register the drones. Okay, so clear on the category, subcategory, and classifications. Any questions, any doubt you have?
No, no, thank you.
Okay, so if you see the
I
class, yeah,
I have a question, sir.
please ask.
Yeah, on this, in your drone rules 2021,
Mhm.
when I see the definition of of rotorcraft, it says it means heavier than aircraft.
Correct.
So, but it doesn't define the word aircraft itself, even though it says heavier than aircraft. So, is there a specific weight to any flying object which can be called an aircraft? Weight restriction, or how do we come to know that it is heavier than an aircraft? As in, because it's not clear. The law is not clear on this.
So heavier. They say air doesn't have any weight. If you see, it will have a pressure. It will push. Okay, it will just create a pressure. But and that pressure will put that make sure that your aircraft is not in a flying condition. So any object you take in your hand, can it fly?
Yeah, I understood. It can't fly. So okay,
Right?
so that's
So
why they are defining it. Okay,
heavier than it. That's
fly
why
it
it's
by
heavier.
the reactions
For
of air
example, for
on one or
example,
more power zone. Okay.
correct. So for example, if you just take a very light paper, okay,
Hmm.
you just throw it from a height, it will try to fly, but it will not fly endlessly. Eventually, it also has a weight. Right? A simple paper, if you fly, you just throw it in the air, it will fly. But will it fly endlessly? No, because it has weight. It's heavy than air. It cannot fly on its own until it has been powered. If you see the definition of the aircraft, it says that heavier than air and should be powered. Okay, it needs to be powered. Until you don't power it, it will not fly on its own. Furthermore, nothing can fly on its own until there is a power. Even the birds cannot fly on their own. Birds are also heavier than the air. But why do they fly? Because continuous flapping of wings. So they are giving the thrust. Okay, so we'll see this topic when we cover the basic principles of flight. Your concepts will become more clearer on these topics. Okay, so anything
Okay, thank
heavier
you.
than aircraft means what? Or heavier than air. Sorry, heavier than air means it's more heavier than air. Air is light, nothing. I mean, it doesn't have weight. Okay, so nothing can fly compared to what is there in air. Anything, even the smallest of smallest thing you take, it will not fly or it will not take off in the airspace. Okay, be it nano drones, micro, small, medium, or large. Okay, I just wanted to ask one question to you guys. We talked about the large class, which says 150 kg, but there is no outer limit. So, what do you think? There is could be there be any outer limit to this?
Military drones.
Yes, military drones, but then what? Again, they're drones. Okay, so this 150 kg can go up to what? Do you have any idea? This is defined in the drone rules. I have not mentioned here because it's not mentioned in the classification. So any aircraft which is more than 500 kg, any aircraft which is more than 500 kg will not have the only rules of drone rules 2021. They will actually follow aircraft rule 1937. Okay, so if you see all this class of weight of the aircraft follows drone rule 2021. You don't required to follow any other rule and regulations for this. Okay, but whereas whenever your aircraft is more than 500 kg, not only the drone rules but even aircraft act, sorry, not aircraft act, aircraft rules 1937 will be applicable on that aircraft. I will show you in the drone rules where that statement is. Okay, so that's what I was saying. When you read the drone rules, lot of time the statements are spread across the document, so you will never know where what to apply or how to apply. So as we go through the slides, end of the when we see the drone rules, I will show you all these things what we are seeing in the slides. Okay. So now if you see Federal Aviation of Academy, they classify their drones with respect to the range and altitude. So US or European countries, most of the place they were actually classified. So if you see ours is classified based on the weight. Okay, whereas they have classified based on the range and altitude. So these some of the slides are just add on just to make sure that you understand our rules more effectively. Okay. So for example, like hummingbird VTOL or predator male. Okay, or male is Malay actually, not it is male, but it's Malay. Then Skystar hybrid VTOL, then MD4 200, and then Global Hawk, HAL. Okay. So what are these? How these are classified with respect to the range and altitude? Okay, here just pictures. Let's see more in detail about this. So if you see the micro and mini, okay, or MUAV, okay, which is called. So as I said, it is classified based on the range and altitude. So if you see this micro and mini has range of 10 kilometers, whereas they can flown up to 300 meters, okay, which has endurance capacity of 2 hours. That means it can go and fly up to 2 hours. Okay, and maximum takeoff weight is 30 kg. Okay, so example was MD4, this type of drone. Okay, this one. Whereas if you see Malay, medium altitude, long endurance. If you see medium altitude means what? 3,000 meters. That means approximately 3 kilometers. And it can, I mean, this is the altitude what it can fly or the height. Whereas how far it can fly? Almost 500 kilometers. And if you see its endurance, since it's flying 500 kilometers, it needs a very huge endurance capacity. So you required almost 24 to 48 hours. So once they are airborne, they can fly almost for 24 hours continuously. So like, and then see their MTWO, okay, almost 1500 kg to 7000 kg. Talarian or Predator drone. These are the Predator drones you must have heard in the news. Indian government has acquired these drones from US. Defense. Then you see high altitude, long endurance, HALE. So this is again a huge drone, almost with a range of 2000 kilometers. It can flow at almost 20,000 meters. That means almost at 20 kilometers in height. It's almost at the height of commercial aeroplanes. Again, it also has endurance capacity of 24 to 48 hours. See the weight capacity, 4,500 to 15,000 kgs. Okay, so Global Hawk. These are basically like cargo kind of things, or maybe a very high endurance, high altitude drones, which are actually flown for carrying the what we called cargoes, okay, or supplies. Okay, you can see a Global Hawk, okay, or even for reconnaissance missions kind of thing. They keep on flying on the enemy territory at very high altitude, and capturing images of their territory, and all that thing. So they have very, I mean, their payloads are very high-end payloads kind of thing. I mean, they will be more expensive even than the aircraft itself. Also. Okay, they would be having sensors like RGB sensors. They would be having thermal sensors. They would be having lidar sensors. Different payloads would be there attached on the belly of the fuselage, and they would be taking a lot of flights in that particular region and capturing the moments almost for 24 hours to 48 hours. Okay, whereas the last classification is VTOL UAE, which has range from 5 to 200 kilometers, with altitude of 6,000 meters, and has endurance approximately 20 minutes to 8 hours, depending upon the way it has been designed and size has been designed. And maximum takeoff weight could be 20 grams to 1400 kgs also. So it could be MQ-9 or Nano Hummingbird. These are very complex piece of drones which are being used specifically into the defense, U.S. defense. Like there is a drone by name Hornet. You must have seen. It's like a small. It's just a small, like your Swiss knife kind of thing. So small, or torch. I would say small torch should be. That small it is, but it has a very good endurance, almost of 1 hour or something, like 30 minutes, 30 to 60 minutes kind of endurance it has. It's basically a spy drone used by US military, and it's very expensive also. I mean, as an individual we cannot afford to purchase that kind of drone, but it is being used by or developed for the US military. Okay, so that's how the classification is done about the drones under the Federal Aviation Academy in US. So again, classification with respect to the size. Okay, so they call it as a very small or mini. So less than 50 centimeters or from 50 centimeters to 2 meters is mini. Medium is 5 meters to 10 meters, and large is greater than 10 meters. So that's how they have defined with respect to the size. So if you can see the pictures, the large is almost more than 10 meters. Okay, mediums are small, like your Predator drones are falling under the medium category or medium class. Okay, medium category is not a right word. Medium class, what we call. Okay, then mini is 5 centimeters to 2 meters, and very small is less than 50 centimeters. Okay, so this was just a classification with respect to the Indian Drone Rules 2021 and then the Federal Aviation Academy. These same rules are being used by European countries also, more or less, plus minus here and there in the numbers. Probably here 50 centimeter could be a 40 centimeter or 60 centimeters, somewhere like that. So minor differences would be there, but more or less they will be following the similar rules. So, with respect to our drone rules, we'll coming to the first segment, which we call as a type certification of the drone. So, if you intend to build a drone, you want to become a drone manufacturer, as you build your drone, you need to get your drone, and you want to manufacture that drone and sell that drone to different people within India or outside India. You need to make sure that your drone is been type certified. Okay, so currently, as I said, we have 104 drones which are being type certified under the Drone Rules 2021 regulations. So no person shall operate an unmanned aircraft system in India unless such unmanned aircraft system conforms to a type certificate or is exempted from the requirement of a type certificate under these rules. Meaning what? You cannot operate, like you cannot operate a drone which is not a type certified. As of now, Indian government is not so stringent about these rules. If you see, with respect to this rule, you will not able to fly any other drone. in Indian airspace, because any other drone would be not type certified. Only type certified drones you have to fly. Any other drone you can fly, provided they are exempted from the requirement. For example, nano drone. The DJI nano drone, what we are flying, it is exempted because it's in nano class. Okay, so we'll see how this exemption. We need to understand from the rules also what exemptions or what relaxation is being provided under the drone rules. What operations or what type of drones have the exemptions, or what type of activities are exempted under these rules of 2021. Okay, now who is authorized to do the type certification? The Director General or any entity authorized by Director General in this behalf may on the recommendation of Quality Council of India. So Director General of India has authorized or recommended Quality Council of India to do a type certification of the drones. So how they do? The Director General or DGC has appointed Quality Council of India, which has appointed or nominated couple of testing entities in India to certify these drones. So let's say Akash company decide to build a drone. They build the drone. Once they build the drone, they wanted to get their drone certified or type certified. So they will approach this organization for type certification. So they will use a form called Form D1. Okay. So that is called Form D1. So D1 form is for application for type certification. So you will fill this form, submit this form to the DGCA with the fee, and DGCA will, based on your recommendation, there are four to six testing entities which are authorized to conduct the type certification test for your drone. So they will actually get nominated and they will engage with you. They will ask you to share the prototype of your drone. Three drones they will ask you. Ideally, it is required one, but you want to do your testing faster. So they will say that it's all up to you whether you want to do it with one drone or whether you want to do it with three drones. So they will ask you to submit the three prototype and related documents to it. Okay, documents means there would be lot many, like there would be like 50, 60 documents would be there when you are building a drone. So it's not about just making a car, but there has to be a lot of documentation related to that car also, right from your design document, details about your engine, details about your the interiors of your car, exteriors of a car, the safety features, the structure what you are building with, what material you are using it, what kind of engine, what fuel, what battery system, what electronics, what avionics you are using. All that will be coming into the picture. You need to prepare all those documents. I mean, it's in itself, it's a huge uh, activity in itself. Okay, building a drone. It's not that just got the motor propeller. And, we as a hobbyist, people build their drones. But when we go for a type certification, it's in itself like before going or applying for this type certification, there is almost of 6 months of effort is required. You need to build your type certified drone, prototype of a drone. You need to test as per the guidelines for the type certifications. You need to build documents with respect to those guidelines, and then submit those documents to the body, the Quality Council of India and the authorizing testing entities. Then they will actually try and see, based on your documentation, based on your prototype and definition, they will test it in various conditions. It could be heat, it could be a cold, it could be a drop test, whatnot. I mean, a lot of tests are going on. They would ask you to submit some reports from the labs. All that documents would carry, and then within 60 days, they will come up. I mean, not they will not wait for 60 days, but as they review your documents, they may come up with some clarification required, some justification required, or they may reject your type certification also, and they may ask you to resubmit with the justifications or newer documents or some amendment to your document. So like this, it will go on till you complete all your process. Once the testing of body is satisfied with your prototype and your documentation, then only they will put a recommendation to Quality Council of India, which in will send it to the DGCA for certification. So that is what it is said. ideally it is 60 days, but that takes almost 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, even a year for certification of a type certified drone. After the Quality Council has put that recommendation to DGCA, DGCA will take another 15 days to look into it, and then they will award you the type certification for your drone. Once you are type certified, drone is awarded with the type certificate, then you can start your manufacturing process. Okay, so within that period of that 60 days or whatever time frame they take, the authorized people or the auditors would visit your location also to see how you are developed the drone, how you are set up the infrastructure to develop this drone, how your people, they will talk to your people. A lot of audits would happen. So going through this itself process, though it is just a 60 days of time frame what was defined, but it takes 3, 6, 9, 12 months, or even sometimes more than. I mean, I've seen OEMs which have taken even 15 months to get their drone type certified. There are organizations which had got their drone within 3 months also time frame. Okay, so it depends the way. So a lot of people, what they do is they apply for Form D1 initially, and then they start the process. But a lot of people who has approached me for type certification consultancy, I have told them that there is no hurry to fill that Form D1 first. First, build a prototype, build the documentation. At least you should be, I would say, not 100%, but at least you should be 90% ready with your understanding of building the drone and the documentation. Then only you go for D1 certificate or filling the or application for D1 form. Okay, a lot of people makes that mistake and they go into the lot of changes, and they lose a lot of time, and that's how they end up spending more time. See, rather spending time and then getting your application rejected, you should always make sure that you are ready with your all the needs of the application, and then go for application. Okay, so that's way you can save your time, and you don't encounter into a lot of changes in your prototype or maybe in the documentation also. So what is the any person who intend to obtain a type certification can make an application in form D1 on Digital Sky platform along with the fee specified by Rule 46. Okay, so where you need to mention the particular of the applicant details and required document respect to the prototype of US as specified therein, and prototype US shall be physically handed over to the authorized testing entity. Okay, the document itself, the drone rule only says prototype. Okay, but how many prototypes, it is not mentioned over here. So it is all up to authorized testing entity how much they demand. So some says within one you can do it. Ideally, it is only one required as per the document. But just to speed up the process so that multiple things could be tested on the drones. So that's why they would require you to send 3 prototypes. Okay, the Quality Council of India is authorized or authorized testing entity shall examine the proposal and submit the test report along with its recommendation to Director General within 60 days from the date of receipt of the application. In between of the 60 days, in case the authorizing testing entities puts up any kind of hold, they might come back and saying that your landing whatever you are specified is not as per your documentation, or your frame what we are used and what you have mentioned in the document is not matching, or they may come up with any kind of showstoppers kind of thing. And it the moment they put anything on your onus, and you need to provide a justification or change or do any documentation, that time this clock of 60 days stops. They will give you time of 7 days, 15 days, or maybe a 1 month period to come back with the newer version of the prototype or the documentation. Once you resubmit it, then again your clock starts. Okay, so that's how you lose the dates or time in between. Okay, but however, a lot of organizations have gone through these phases and all the things. They understand how DGCA works, how QCI works, and even their authorized testing entities. Like lot of time we have, I mean, lot of time we have been interacting with authorized testing entities. Their view, seeing a view of a prototype, whereas from our respective, like I would say, one of my customer built a drone where they said that my drone is capable of 500 times landing. Okay, but when we say that into a document, how do we say that it is capable of 500 landings? So we really need to test our landing gear by doing 500 times takeoff and 500 times landing. Okay, we need to provide that evidence. Like we have done this kind of testing. We may have to take the photographs. We may have to take videos. We may have to take flight records of our drones. Showing that we have done it 500 times. If they are satisfied with our reports, our evidence and all the things, it may pass. Sometimes they said no, we want to test it ourselves, so you demonstrate us 500 times landing of it. And let's say in 400 landings your landing gear crashes or breaks. That means your landing gear is not capable of 500 landings. Either you have to change, or you have to really demonstrate what you are saying, or you change your document saying that you are not 500 landings but it is maybe 350 landings or something like that. Okay, so that's how you need to justify. So you can't just on your a lot of people who OEMs will write something good things about their drones like 500 times landing. uh, when I'm saying my drone can fly only for 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I really need to show to them that my drone is capable of flying in air for 30 minutes. वो 30 minutes बोल के 20 minutes fly होगा and then it crash lands or you have to land it. Then your drone is not capable of 30 minutes endurance. It's just 20 minutes of endurance. Okay. So all these things are being specified in when you get the type certificate from the uh, Quality Council or DPC. Okay. So on the basis of the test report, along with the recommendation to the Director General issues the applicant a type certified for a specific type of unmanned aircraft system within 15 days of receiving such test reports. So total it takes 75 days. Ideally, it will take 75 days to get a drone type certified. Ideally, okay. But then we know how the government organization works, and there will be always back and forth about the reports and the documentation and all that things. So normally, as I said, it takes 3 months. So roughly, you can take 90 days, sometimes 180 days, even more than a year also, like 360 plus days also have people taken. Okay. So acceptance and approval given to the foreign regulator on the basis of approval granted to any type of unmanned aircraft system by such a contracting state as may specified by the central government by notifying the official gazette, the Director General may issue type certification to that type of unmanned aircraft system. That means what? Even the foreign regulators can also apply for a type certification within India. Okay. So, but there has to be some engagement with respect to the DGCA in the official gazettes. Okay, with respect to the contracting states. Like for example, Israel is developing a drone for Indian government. So Israel is actually a foreign regulator or the foreign country or contracting state or nation, which is actually developing a drone for us. So they will actually following the drone rules 2021, and then they will follow all the guidelines what has been issued to them by the DGCA, and then DGCA based on the rules and regulations and the recommendation by the QCA will issue the type certification for the foreign regulators. Okay. For the imports of the drone, import of unmanned aircraft system shall be regulated by Director General of Foreign Trade or any other entity authorized by the central government. So any import of a drone is authorized or regulated by DGFT. Okay, that's the Director General of Foreign Trade, who are exempted from the type certification of the drones. So no type certification shall be required for operating the following, namely a model remotely piloted aircraft. We saw this subcategory, right? So if your drone is following under the model remotely piloted aircraft system, you don't require to have a type certified. And your nano drone also. If you have developed a small nano drone, you don't require that drone to be a type certified. That's why you see those toy drones which are less than 250 grams, they are all are nano drones. That's why they do not have any kind of type certification. Clear on this? Okay.
Yes.
So you understood what is type certification. So you need to fill a D1 form, pay the fees to the DGCA. Within 60 days, QCI will give the recommendation or give the test reports with their testing entity, help of the testing entities, and then within 15 days, based on the recommendation given by the QCI, you will get the type certificate. If you are being as a OEM who intend to build a drone and sell those drones to people across India as well as outside India also. Okay, but there are two types of drones which are exempted in obtaining the type certified. One is model remotely piloted aircraft system. This is when we say model means remotely piloted and it is not a type certified which is only flown for recreational purposes which is having less than 25 kg. Okay, then it is only called as model remotely piloted. That means this is basically for the aero modelers. Like I am as an aero modeler hobby, I want to build an aeroplane and fly. So when you are flying a aero model aircraft, you are again following some rules with respect to the drone rules. One is that weight will be less than 25 kg. Okay, it will be remotely piloted. It will be flown only for the recreational activity, less than 25 kg, and it will be only flown under visual line of sight. That means your aero modeling aircraft, whatever you are flying only under visual. That means you should see that aeroplane by your eyes, by your naked eyes. Okay, not by the goggle or anything like that. Okay, only by your eyes. So that is what is called as a model remotely piloted aircraft system. In the second category or second class is nano, which is less than 250. So clear on the type certification with respect to the drone rules 2021. Any questions you have?
No.
No questions.
Okay, thank you. So let's see now, as per the drone rules 2021, what are the mandatory safety features required to be there in your drones? Okay, so there are three safety features which are been defined into the drone rules, but out of these three safety features, only one is currently incorporated into the drone. That is the last one. That is the geofencing capability. This is actually your virtual boundary. So your drone needs to be a geofence. Whenever you're flying in a particular location or the thing, you should always be in position to geofence your drones. So like our drones also, which we are flying, they are already geofence. Okay, so they will fly within that particular boundary, virtual bond. They will not fly beyond that boundary. Okay, so whenever you are intending to do a drone flying, you should always have this safety feature enabled on it. So any type certified drones, what you see, they will have geofencing capability enabled on their drones. Apart from that, there are two more features which are required. One is no permission, no takeoff. Okay, so you will not have a permission. If you do not have a permission, you cannot take off for that particular and that particular firmware of the drone. Okay, this NPNT, we call it as NPNT, was introduced, but this is still not been 100% implemented. Okay, as of now, still there are some testing, some requirements are not clear. That's why these are not become a mandatory, but these can become any given point in time in near future mandatory. Second important mandatory feature is real-time tracking beacon, okay, which we call as ADSB. Okay, so real-time tracking beacon that communicates the unmanned aircraft system location, altitude, speed, and unique identification number. Okay, we'll see what is unique identification number in subsequent slide, but it basically broadcasts its information. It tells what it is, which aircraft or which drone it is, its location, its altitude, its speed, and other information related to it, so that you are visible to the people. You are known to the people. Like any civilian aircraft will always have a real-time tracking beacon. You have seen that lot of time. The ATC would always seeing the aircraft on their radars, right? So radar is basically catching those informations and then it is displaying on the radar. It's not only the dot, but if you see nearby to the dot, there would be some information like what probably it could be a registration number of that particular aircraft. Okay, so in India, the registration for aircraft will always start with VT. Okay, so similarly, drone will also have a unique number, and that unique number would be displayed once we have this real time beacon enabled. Okay, as of now, none of the type certified drones have this feature enabled on them. Okay, because the ecosystem required for this broadcast to capture is still not been used or not been in functional mode or not been set up across India or even global. So you will see even a lot of countries still do not have this kind of feature enabled and others. So there are a lot of testing, a lot of development is going beyond it. There are some devices or components are available with ADSB kind of features, and people have deployed it on their drones, and people are testing it and all this. So this will come into the picture when we have drones flying across the cities, drone flying across one city to another city, like from Mumbai to probably Surat, Mumbai to Pune, or maybe Mumbai to Goa, kind of. I'm just giving in cities, depending upon the capacity of the drone and purpose of the drone. Whenever they are flying, you want to make sure that that particular drone is being tracked with its location, its attitude, its speed, and its presence or its registration number and all the things. So these are the three mandatory features. So out of these three mandatory features, only geofencing is enabled into our current drones, type certified drones. Okay. So any questions on this? This is one of the important safety features topic which has been defined into the drone rules 2021.
I have a question. The
Yeah.
real-time tracking there in any country as of now? Is it available anywhere? Is it
No,
you?
I mean not for drones. As of not for drones. Because you are not
Okay.
broadcasting. It's still because if you see, if I'm let's assume you have a drone which is actually broadcasting this information, but how you will receive that? You need to set up an infrastructure for that. That is called UTM, unmanned traffic management system. Okay, unmanned aircraft system traffic management. That means you see there are a lot of drones flying across the city or within the city. You need to have some kind of a knock to track, like how ATC is there. Whenever your civilian aircrafts are flying, you have a ATC setup, right? Control towers are there, which actually monitors your airspace. Similarly, whenever you are doing a drone flying, you need to monitor that, right? So wherever currently drones which have been flown, they are not flown into the monitored airspace. They are flown under the uncontrolled, unmonitored airspace. So as of now, this is not required. So we do not have an ecosystem for this. That's why this is not become a mandatory safety feature as of now. But in near future, probably in next 6 months, the rule is going to come, because currently, as I said, we are flying the drone under VLOS condition. That is visual line of sight. We will be starting a flying operations called as BVLOS. That is beyond visual line of sight. That means drone which is not visible to your eyes. You are flying blind. Okay. So that point in time, how you will know where your drone is? So there has to be some communication, right? You need to know where your drone is actually flying. So that is the time when your real time tracking will become useful for you. Okay. So that is where this feature will become mandatory. So as of now, our drone flying limitation is only under visual line of sight. So we are only flying under visual line of conditions. That's why this is not a mandatory feature as of now. Clear?
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Now, as I said, we build the drones, we got it type certified, we probably start manufacturing it, probably then sell. All that things will happen. That whole ecosystem will start off. So when you build a drone, you got it type certified, you are manufacturing now in multiple folds the drones. You need to make sure that you are registering your drone on the digital sky platform. Okay, so no person shall operate unmanned aircraft system without obtaining a unique identification. Even you purchase a drone from DJI, like you purchase a phantom drone, you need to make sure that you register that drone on the digital standard. So no person shall operate unmanned aircraft system or drone without obtaining a unique identification number, which we call it as UIN number. Okay? a registration record shall be maintained by the Director General. That means Director General will actually maintain a record. So on Digital Sky platform, all the drones which have been registered, it has been maintained. So by UIN number or a person's name or other information, you can find the drone which is being registered. Okay, it shall be the responsibility of a person. That means the person who is actually flying, his responsibility is to make sure that he's actually flying a drone with a unique identification number, and it is a valid type certified. Now nano is exempted for it. So when if you are flying a nano, you don't require to register it, you don't require to be type certificate. Clear? So now let's see how to register our drone. Okay, so UIN of a drone requirement and eligibility. In simple terms, unique identification number is a license plate of your unmanned system. Like how we have a license plate on our car. Similarly, on our drone, you will see here there is a number, okay, which is mentioned, which is a unique number. Nano drone weighing less than 250 grams, which can't fly above 50 feet, and US owned by armed air forces are exempted from getting UIN number. So nano drones you really don't require to be registered. You don't require UIN number. Okay, which are not able to fly above 50 feet, you don't require UIN number. But if your drone is nano but it is above 250 feet, then probably you may have to register it also. So if you are falling under this criteria, then you don't require to register it. But if you are above like 250 means it's not nano, it's micro. And then if it is above 50 feet, then you definitely need to register nano. UIN must be affixed on the UIS. So you need to put that label. Okay. So on type certified drone, it is a fireproof number plate. Okay. And UIN only granted to a citizen of India, central or state government entities, Indian companies with two-thirds Indian directors, foreign entities leasing the unmanned aircraft to the above. Okay, so there could be a foreign entities like we have purchased drone from uh, US, but then they are again used for by armed forces. Okay, so they are exempted for UN, so they don't require. But there could be some drones I could be purchasing from some foreign entities for my some operation. I may be starting or I may be running my organization for surveillance or maybe photography. Like Ankita, Akash, you might be purchasing some drones and you want to, for example, Phantom drone you could have registered. You can get them registered and you can put the UIN number. There could be a company which was actually you may not be purchasing drone, but you may have leased some drone for some like for example when we talk about photography, cinematography, their drones are completely a different type of drone, and that drone may be not following in nano or micro or you not even small. Sometimes those cinematography kind of drones fall under a medium category, also, medium class kind of thing, be more than 25 kg also. So in that point in time you are leasing that. You may not be purchasing it, but you are leased it for per period. So you can register that drone with UIN number. Let's say your operation is only for a month, but you still can register it, and then later on you can deregister it once you give it back to the. But under your operations, you have to make sure that you are registering it. Okay, so that is what it talks about the registration of the drones. So how do you register to make an application by form D2? We saw D1 was for type certification. So D2 form is for registration of your drone. Okay, for obtaining unique identification number and paying by fees of Rule 46. So with respect to the Rule 46, there is a fee defined when you are applying for unique identification number using form D2. A digital sky platform shall verify the details and issue a unique identification number to the applicant. So this is not a complex process. This is a very simple process. You just have to fill the form, pay the fees, upload the documents of your drones, details about your details about your drones, and the documents like front photo, back photo, or top photo, back photo. All that information is required. No person shall replace. I mean, if you have registered the drone, you got the unique serial number, unique identification number, because it is tagged to the manufacturing serial number, and it is also tagged to the flight control. There is a flight controller in your drone. That flight controller also has a serial number. You will be having a remote control also. That remote control will also be having a serial number. So these all three components: your drone, your flight controller, and your remote control. all these threes are been tagged under one number that is called as UIN number. So if it is registered under one all these things, you cannot change any of these components. In that scenario, you need to deregister that role. Then probably change the remote control or change the flight control. This could be in a different scenario. I will come to that scenario when you would be doing that. Okay. So in that scenario, you will be normally deregistering drone, do the changes, and probably re-registering or maybe making a fresh registration for that drone. Okay. So transfer. So first, let's see. There are two components for change of UIN number or transfer of UIN number. One is basically you have built the drone as a OEM. Like we have drone called AgriBot. Okay, Bombay Flying Club is using AgriBot drone. These were drones made by a company called Iotech Aviation. Okay, Delhi-based company. They are the number one company or the first company to make the drone for agriculture and get it type certified. So that drone was made by the company by Iotech Aviation. They got that drone registered, type certified, and registered on the digital sky platform. Bombay Flying Club approaches them, purchase that drone for training. So they have to transfer the UIN name on our name. So earlier, before our purchase, that drone was shown under the name Iotech Aviation. Now, once we have made the purchase, the drone is been transferred on our name. So, a person may transfer an unmanned aircraft system to another person by way of sale. It could be a lease. It could be a gift. Like before we make a purchase, before we purchase our drone, we have taken a drone on lease from Iotech because we don't want to purchase it at a first go. We wanted to test it. So we took the drone on rent or lease for 1 year. We tested it. Once we were satisfied, then we have put the order. So during even the lease period, when it was under our usage, that time also that UIN number was transferred on our name. So during sale, during lease. In case you have given a drone, you have purchased a drone, but you are giving it as a gift to someone. Even that scenario, you should transfer that drone to the person who is actually flying that drone or any other mode after providing the requisite details of the transferor, transferee, and unique identification number of the unmanned aircraft system in form D3. So we saw D1, D2, now this is D3 form. So why we are talking about these forms? Because earlier in car, which was released in 2018, there were 75 forms. Okay, so see how complex it was. Whereas now the drone rules 2021 has only 5 forms. So simplified the rules are there. So simplified the applications have been made. Okay, so this is the one of the most simplified drone rules and the process, I would say, across the globe. Indian drone rules 2021 are the simplest and easiest compared to any other rules across the globe. Okay, very simple. Okay, and then registration record is maintained by the DGCA and the transaction number shall be generated by the digital sky platform, electronically verified transfer, transferee, and the unique identification. So DGCA will maintain all this information, and then there will be a transaction number which will be generated. So under this transaction number, the transfer of unmanned aircraft system UIN number is happened. So that everything information will be maintained on the digital sky platform. Okay, so clear on the transfer in what scenario you will be transferring, either in sale, lease, gift, or any other mode. I mean, it could be any other mode which they may not have thought. Okay, so in any other scenario, also you can transfer the UI number to the intended person who is actually using the drone for operations or whatever it is required. Okay, second is deregistration of unmanned aircraft. So when you will deregister, where an unmanned aircraft system registered in a person name is either permanently lost or permanently damaged. That means you are flying and you lost that drone, or it may have crashed. That means it has encountered a damage. He shall, on arriving at a reasonable conclusion that it is so lost or damaged, can apply for deregistration. That means your car is completed 15 years, you don't intend to drive that car, you want to deregister that car, or you want to scrap that car, same process is applicable to the drone also. In case you have lost your drone somewhere, like I was flying a drone in some valley, and I lost the control and I'm unable to recover it after search and all that thing, but I'm unable to recover. I can declare it as a lost. Okay, it's better to declare it as lost and deregister it from it. Okay, or it would have some damage. I have recovered that drone, but it has gone into such kind of like uska frame break ho gaya, flight controller has broken. I mean, it is beyond repair, beyond any reinstalling into the operations. So in that scenario, also I will deregister that drone using D3 form by paying fees as specified by Rule 46. And that record will be maintained by DGC and transaction number shall be generated by the Digital Sky platform. So D1 form is for type certified, D2 form is for UIN number, D3 form is for transfer and deregistration of unmanned aircraft system. Clear on the three types of form? Okay. So we have seen now how to do the type certification of the drone. We have seen how to do the what we call registration of the drone, and then we have seen how we can transfer or deregister our drone on the Digital Sky platform. Okay, the last topic of our module tomorrow is about the Digital Sky platform, where I will be showing you all these forms, all the locations, all the. I mean, I will run through you the entire website, okay, of Digital Sky platform. Now, coming back to the operations of the drone. Now, this is the most important part with respect to your training. Okay, we actually have overshooted the time. So, do you want to take a break, maybe of 10 minutes or something like that, or you are good to continue?
Can we take a
A
break?
small break, bio break.
Yeah, yeah. So let's come back by 10. Sorry, 12, 10, 5 minutes,
Sure.
or
Thank you.
maybe longer.
12:50.
12:15. Okay, no problem. So let's come back at 12:15. I'll just pause it. Okay, we are back.
Yes. Thank you.
Hari, Akash, Ankita, are you back?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, we are back.
Hari, are you there? Hari? Hari, are you there? Can I start? He's there in the call, right?
Hello,
Hello,
you are
Hari.
waiting for me?
Yeah, yeah, we're waiting for you.
Sorry. I've joined very late.
Okay, so we'll start. Okay, thanks coming back. So I just took a break because this is important topic. I don't want you to miss or live in between. So we can start now. So operation of drones. So Indian airspace. Okay, with respect to the drone, are being divided into the three zones. That is red zone, yellow zone, green zone, with horizontal resolution equal to or finer to 10 meters. Okay, so as of now, don't think about what you talk about horizontal resolution equal to finer than 10 meters. Okay. First, let's see the zones. And then when we go on a topic of airspace on a digital sky platform, I will tell you about 10 meters. What does it mean by 10 meters? Okay. So imagine it could be any restricted area. Okay. Any restricted area, or the area which is not intended to fly a drone will always fall under a red zone. For example, like Parliament, okay, or Rashtrapati Bhavan, or maybe a governor's bungalow, or could be some military installations, okay, or some critical like research center, or maybe a refineries, or could be atomic energy kind of devices locations. These are all under red zone. So for our understanding, we'll take a simpler example: airport. Airport is a location which is always termed as a red zone area or a high security area. Okay, so from the airport, airport will have its own boundary, what we call it as a perimeter. Okay, so if you see the airport and the boundary of the airport, the perimeter, you see these lines. From these lines, the red zone will extend up to 5 kilometers. So your diameter of your red zone from the boundary or the perimeter of the airport or any high security area will be 5 kilometers. So from the boundary or the wall of the airport or a high security area, up to 5 kilometer will be your red zone. Okay, from 5 kilometers to another 3 kilometers further. Okay, so that is almost like 8 kilometers from the boundary of your airport. So within this 5 kilometers till 8 kilometers is your inner yellow zone. Okay, inner yellow zone. From that 8 kilometers further 4 kilometers. Okay, that is almost 12 kilometers, up to 12 kilometers. From 8 kilometers to 12 kilometers is called as, there are two segments into that. One is called as outer yellow zone, and there is lower part is called green zone. Okay, I will explore more in detail. From 12 kilometers and beyond, okay, from 12 kilometers from your perimeter of your airport or high security area, beyond 12 kilometers is green zone. Now let's come back. Okay, again come back to airport. From airport wall or a boundary or a perimeter up to 5 kilometer is your red zone. So here, completely up in the space, above that space, entire space is always red zone. Okay, so above the airport, whatever the height, whether it is 5 meters, 10 meters, 100 meters, 200 meters, 2000 meters, 20,000 meters above the airport is still a red zone. Okay, now you come beyond 5 kilometers. From 5 kilometers, add 3 kilometers, that is up to 8 kilometers, that is inner yellow zone. So in inner yellow zone, you have a limitation of flying a drone only up to 200 feet. See, in red zone, you have no to fly the drone because there is no ceiling capacity defined. Because actually in red zone, you are not allowed to fly a drone. Whereas in inner yellow zone, you can fly a drone from 5 kilometers till 8 kilometers range, which we call that as a inner yellow zone. You have a limitation of flying only up to 200 feet. What? You can only fly up to 200 feet, but that also with approvals from ATC. Okay, from 8 kilometers plus 4 kilometers, that is up to 12 kilometers, you have segment called as outer yellow zone. Okay, in that outer yellow zone, height capacity is up to 400 feet. Okay, outer yellow zone is height capacity is 400 feet, but in that it is divided into segments. One is outer yellow zone and green zone. So if you are in outer yellow zone, that is from 8 kilometers to 12 kilometers range, if you are flying below 200 feet, it is termed as a green zone. So you don't require really a permission over there. But if you are flying in that 8 kilometers to 12 kilometers, but above 200 feet, it is called as outer yellow zone. There you require a permission from ATC. Okay, whereas beyond 12 kilometers is your green zone, but you are allowed to fly a drone only up to 400 feet. Above 400 feet, it will become a yellow zone. So when it is in yellow zone, you have to take a permission from ATC. Then only you are allowed to fly the drone above 400 feet. So where is your advisable to fly your drone? In green zone up to 200, up to 400 feet only. That would be the safe location to fly the drone. Whereas if you see Mumbai, okay, Mumbai airport is located at Andheri. Okay, if you count from there, I am staying somewhere beyond Borivali. Okay, so that is more than 12 kilometers, 10, 12 kilometers. Okay, so ideally, if I am flying somewhere in Mira Road, Bhainder, or Vasai, Virar, ideally it is a green zone. Ideally, if you see from this definition, it would be a green zone. But entire Mumbai city and its vicinity is being marked as a red zone. So here the limitation of red zone of 5 kilometer is not valid because they have marked this entire city of Mumbai and certain part of vicinity like up to Vasai, Virar, up to Palghar, completely as a red zone. If you see on the digital sky platform, Pune, Amarnagar, Solapur is completely under red zone, and that red zone was made only in recent times. 4th December 2024, they have changed the Pune city, Pune, and I mean not city, the entire district of Pune, Amarnagar, and Solapur completely under red zone. So you are not able to fly drone in that region. I mean, there were some RPTOs which were operating in Pune region. They were not able to fly drones. They were not able to train the students because they have termed completely that area as a red zone. Okay, but after they made the application and they approached the civil aviation DPC and all the things, since they are training the students and they have established their infrastructure and all the things, they have given some exemptions. So they can fly drone up to 400 feet only in their infrastructure locations, and that also approval is given for 1 year. So every year they need to renew it. Okay, so that's how the limitations is there. So clear on the operations of the drone with respect to the red zone, yellow zone, green zone. You have any questions on this?
Any idea that once the Mumbai airport is shifted to Navi Mumbai, will there be any no reclassification of these zones as far as Mumbai city is concerned? And
No,
do you have any idea, or is there
no,
a possibility?
no. So Mumbai will never be reclassified into any other zone. It will be always red zone, irrespective whether it is having an airport, whether it is an all. See, anyway, your domestic airport will be functioning from Mumbai airport. Okay, it is only you have added one more. So basically, your area of red zone will increase because the second airport is almost nearer to the first airport itself, not very far. So basically, you will have a overlapping red zones. Okay, or probably your area of your red zone would increase beyond what it would be, what is currently defined. The moment you are, I mean, I probably they would have increased it already. Okay, I have not seen the location as of now, but you see, for example, let's take an example for a simpler understanding. Mumbai is a little bit complex and difficult to understand, but if you see, for example, Nasik. Okay, Nasik is just a small airport. Okay, basically it's an airport which is controlled by the air force also. Okay, or probably the armed forces. So that airport is completely demarked as a red zone as per the 5 kilometer range. Beyond that, you will have a 3 kilometers. Beyond that, you will have a 4 kilometer, the green zone, and then the outer red zone, green zone as beyond 12 kilometers. So you will see different airport, like you see any other, like Surat Airport or maybe Pune Airport, or since these locations have been separately demarcated as a red zone, you see any individual low location, like maybe a Dhule airport also. These are just a location where there is an airport. There is no other sensitive. Like Mumbai is a sensitive city. Okay, it's a commercial capital of India. That's why it needs that kind of airspace to be defined and all the things. So that's why you see that you can't fly drone in Mumbai on your own like that. Okay, but then you can fly with approvals or with certain rules and following certain rules and regulations. Okay. So whether before moving to the next slide, are you clear on the zones? You have any questions with respect to red zone, yellow zone, green zone?
Where can we find this, demarcations? Like if I'm just going on a vacation or a holiday or for
Yeah.
any
So
traveling.
that's the topic of a digital sky platform. Anyway, since you have asked, I will just show you the digital sky platform so that all the queries, everybody's queries will be get resolved. I hope you can see my browser. So there is a platform called Digital Sky Platform. This is with respect to the drones. This website is only related to the drones. Okay. So on this platform, if you scroll down, you can see airspace map. I hope everybody can see this airspace map. You can just click on.
Yes.
You will see a sky. Okay. So I'll just remove all the legends first. Okay. So this is just a normal map, India map. You can zoom in, zoom out. Okay. You can see the states, cities, everything. Okay. So this is what actually was the map, or what we call as airspace map. Okay, this is dynamic in nature. So let's say first the demarcation of the state. So when we say the state boundaries get defined over here, okay, I'll little bit zoom on Maharashtra, Mumbai. Okay, then I will say airport red. You can see the airport red over here. Still, Navi Mumbai airport is not been marked over here. You can see it because it's not operational as of now. You see here only two red zones have been created because there are two landing strips. With respect to
Mm.
the landing strip, they may have defined the red zones over here. Okay. Now, if I made a red zone, okay, there is a second option called red zone. See how it drastically changes.
Oh my God.
Okay. So your actual red zone with respect to the drone wheels is this, but there is a bigger red zone. Okay, the airport red zone and the red zone. Okay. You see, Mumbai is extended up to what? Vasai, Virar, up to what? Palghar. Then you see here atomic center,
Mm.
Tarapur. Okay, that is also under red zone. So your Mumbai red zone is some to up to this location. Okay, so any area following under this, suppose I am flying a drone at this, like, let's say example, Fort Ashrigad. This is under a red zone. Okay, or somewhere in Manor. Okay, near Silent Hill Resort. In this resort also, if I'm flying, it falls under the red zone. Okay, or even in Vasai Virar, you see coastal area. Okay, red zone, red zone. Okay, all the coastal area of Mumbai is completely red. Even if you see the sea part, see this is all red zones. Your rigs, all they are red zone. You see here now, Pune, Pune is this, Ahmednagar and Solapur. This entire. So earlier it was only this one. Only Pune as an airport, Ahmednagar as an airport, all these ports were. But recently, this this entire. If I click here, you will get the date also. Since when? 4th December 2024, last year only. So from 4th December till 31st December, no even training was conducted in this area. There were three RPTOs in this region. None of them were able to fly or train their students. So they made application to the DGCA and Civil Ministry of Aviation, and they got a temporary approvals to fly drones only in their infrastructure or in their space. Okay, not beyond that. So you cannot actually fly anywhere, even for agriculture purpose. Also, you need to take a permission. Okay, so this is completely a red zone due to some political and some requirements. They have made it temporary, and this is for 3 years. If you see the validity of this is till 3rd December 2027. Okay, if you see here any location like let's say now where are we located? Okay, so we are located somewhere here. Our flying location is here, Vaitarna Lake. You can see here Vaitarna Lake. We are flying. We will be flying drone somewhere here. So we are completely in green zone. Whereas if you see the Nasik, you see Nasik airport, Nasik region. Again, these are again red zones. There are some locations which are again marked as a red zone. So if you see, this is the only airport zone. Okay, but Even Nasik, due to army activities and lot of things are there. Firing range is there. All that Devlali location is there. So those are been marked as a red. Okay. Whereas apart from red zone, you can see yellow. Okay, you see here yellow is getting changed. Okay, so this is red, this is yellow, 5 to 8 kilometers, then 8 to 12 kilometers. Now you got the idea. So this was your from boundary till the 5 kilometer range. This was your from 5 to 8 kilometers, and then outer is your airport yellow, or what is we call as 8 to 12 kilometers. And beyond that, everything is green zone. But again, if you see the red zone, okay, so red zone, if you see from this perspective, in this region you cannot, because this is a again a red zone. But whereas you can fly drone over here wherever there is a green. So it is a mandatory for a pilot to see this map before he sees the or he commences his operations. Okay, we'll see that there is a rule with respect to that. So clear on this?
Sir, I have one question.
Hmm.
In this, when you say all red zones, I don't, are all the forests also covered as photographers? Are
So
the
forest
forests
is
covered?
not comes under red zone. They are still in green zone.
But
Okay. For example,
because the
if you
local
see,
forest authorities don't allow that. Means. Okay.
so you have to take permission from. See, they're not saying no, but with see, there are certain rules and regulations. Like when you are doing a photography in or a drone photography in forest, you need to inform them, take their approvals and permissions. Then only. So even in green zone, it's not that because it is a green zone, you can fly a drone. You need to see the locality, what location it you are flying, what is the, if it is a complete pure green zone, you can fly. But if it, like for example, कोई resort में आप fly कर रहे हो या somebody's property is there, or it could be a forest, it could be a dam, it could be a reservoir, it could be anything. So you need to approach the enforcement bodies, the forest, or could be whatever it could be, under whom so that location would be there. It is always advisable you to make an application to them. See, they may not come to you and give you a written approval, but at least you need to intimate. If they have any issue, they may say that you cannot do it. If they do not have, just take an acknowledgement from that. I have submitted my approval. I have submitted my application. If they have something to negate it, they would say to you, or they will say no, you can't fly. If they do not have anything, they will just acknowledge it and keep a copy with it. You can ask for a duplicate copy, or you can make, when you are applying for them, you make it 2 copies. You take acknowledgement from them that you have submitted your request, and then you can do your, and they can ask them also. Like let's say you approach a local police station, you can always ask them if I need to take any other approvals. Like अगर आप forest में कर रहे हो तो forest authorities का आपको approval लेना पड़ेगा. If you are doing it some special location, probably like a fort, so that fort may be under Archaeological Society of India, so you may have to take their approvals, or Geographical Society of India, whatever under that
Uh,
location is coming up.
like waterfalls वगैरह जो हैं, say somewhere in the northeast, Meghalaya वगैरह में. So
Correct,
they're
correct.
all also are they coming under the, because I think it's mostly in the Bangladeshi border
Forest,
areas.
yeah, forest. They will come under forest. That will be termed as a forest.
Okay.
So they will be coming. So mostly the remote location will say, which is not civilized, it will fall under the forest. Okay.
And is there any way that no, since laws are very recent, but is there something happening on the front where whatever drones we fly, the maps are already installed and the drones don't go there like a no-fly zone, they start
So that is
giving.
what is actually this platform is. Okay. So
I understood, but that
this
particular
platform,
software, if it is installed in the
still
drone
this
itself.
software is not mature, or this platform is not that mature. And second thing, this platform is going to get changed. Okay. So
Okay.
there is a new website uh, of Digital Sky. Sorry. There is a new website. This is actually the new website. So all the Digital Sky platform, whatever you have, you see here, is going to get migrated. So currently that migration is in process. So this is actually a new website of DGCA. under which even the drone directorate would come under this. So all the data what you are seeing here will get migrated over there. And as of now, there is something called UTM, okay, unmanned traffic management system. So possibly you in future you will have to, like, you intend to do some approvals. You want to fly some drone in some area, okay, and you need approvals, or you want to define your flight plan. All that things will come on this platform. Okay, as of now it is not there. Okay, you can see here, if you see here, there is something called interactive maps API and all the things. So you can already put up your what you can
Yeah,
your own
there
software,
are those.
okay, or you can create your flight plan also. So this was already there earlier, but as of now it is not functional. Okay, so they have stopped a lot of activities on this platform because that migration is in process. Okay, so even our licenses were initially released through this platform only, were generated
Mm.
through this platform only. So as of now, that online process has been stopped, and we are being authorized to do a offline process. Okay, so we are actually currently generating license in offline basis and sending all your details to DGCA in backend, so that once they have this process ready, all things will be available on this, okay, in near future. Maybe down the line, 3 months, 6 months, everything will be on the DGCA platform. Okay, so clear on the zones. We'll see more detail about this website once we touch base on the topic about the.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much for.
But I hope you are clear on the zone part. Okay, the red zone, yellow zone, green zone. So there is another zone called temporary red zone. So as of now, let's see if there is any temporary. Temporary red zone is for a short period. Okay, so I've just off. Let's see anywhere if there is any temporary red zone. So I don't see anywhere there is a temporary red zone. Like for example, temporary red zone was there during 31st December till 31st of January in Mumbai. Okay, so the region, like though we say now, if you see this, just me. Now if you see here, okay, um, even this area of like Sapale, Palghar, Boisar up to Dhanu was also a red zone, complete red zone. Why? So because during that time, 31st December, I mean, it started from 21st December till 26th January, Republic Day, till 31st of January. It was for more than a month, 40 days. This was a temporary red zone also, this coastal area also. As of now, there is no temporary red zone. So you should always see before commencing whether any zone you're flying, whether it falls under the red, yellow, red, or temporary red zone kind of thing. Okay, so you should make sure that you follow that. It's a responsibility of the pilot to see it. So it's mentioned in the rule also. Okay, so let's come back to the slides. So clear on the demarcation of the zones. Ankita, Akash, Vinci, I didn't hear anything from you. Whether you are clear,
Uh, yes, yes,
Yeah.
very clear.
right?
Yes.
So perimeter of the airport or the high security area, 5 kilometers is your red zone, 8 kilometers is your inner yellow zone, 12 kilometers is outer yellow zone, and beyond 12 kilometers it's a green zone. Trust me, when I took the training, I didn't know anything about it. Okay, I just know the name, but the red zone, yellow zone, and green zone. But how to differentiate, I was not knowing. It's only I learned about it when I actually prepared for my master trainer authorization. Okay, so because I have to go for a Viva in front of the DGCA team. So that time DGCA is a Viva, so you will have a three DGCA people sitting as a panel, and they will be throwing you the questions. They will ask you like, what is nano, what is micro, tell me the details about it, tell me about the green zone, red zone. That's how you have to prepare yourself for a trainer, okay, as a master trainer. Then only once you clear, I mean, there is a result almost like 30-40% people only pass. So that means even 100 people are applying for the Viva, only 30 to 40 people or max 50 people. I mean, we have never seen a result going beyond 50%. So 50% people fail, and very less people get in the first attempt. Okay, so that's how it's a tough Viva for becoming a trainer. So I actually learned very properly when I learned it for myself or when I become a trainer. Okay, my trainer was, I mean, I do not want to blame my trainer, but that point in time there was no much visibility because I took training in 2023. So that time there was no clarity on even these things properly. It was just new. Rules were new. People were not, and that many operations were not happening, and that's why that clarity was not there. If you read, I mean, see here I'm putting it in a picture. That's why it looks very simpler for you. But when you read the drone rules, you will come to know what I'm trying to tell you about it. Okay, so let's move ahead. So, what is the mandatory pre-flight verification for the zone restriction? So, as I was talking, it is a responsibility of a pilot before commencing an unmanned aircraft system operation. A remote pilot shall mandatorily verify the digital sky platform for any notification or restrictions applicable to unmanned aircraft system operation in the intended area of operation. So it is a job of a remote pilot to make sure that he visits the digital sky platform and check whether that particular location has any kind of a restrictions. Okay. So no person shall operate an unmanned aircraft system in red zone or yellow zone without prior permission. No prior permission shall be required for operating unmanned aircraft system in a green zone. And the last, the dynamic nature of the zone. The central government may update the airspace map on digital sky platform for an unmanned aircraft system from time to time in order to change the status of area from one zone to another. And such zones shall come effect within the 7 days of their, like for example, during 21st of 26th December, 26th January near the Delhi. Delhi will come under the complete red zone. So that is a temporary or dynamic. Okay, so they will before 26th January. I think on 27th, so not 27th, 21st of January or before that only they have released the details that this particular zone will be called as a red zone and you are not allowed to fly the drones in that area. Okay, at Rajpath or that wherever that parade and all that things happens. So those locations were not allowed for drone operations. You can fly only in that location if you are authorized and you have approval. I mean, there were drones flying that location, taking the footage. Those people who have given orders or given permissions to take the footage of that particular activity or that particular event. Okay, so I talked about the temporary red zone. So sometimes even temporary period, like there is a election happening at particular location. Let's say there was an election in Palgar. So that location, that SP of that location may call that location as a temporary red zone. So if there is an urgent need for temporary prohibit unmanned aircraft systems, concerned state government or union territory administration or law enforcement agency may declare a temporary red zone over a specified area for period not exceeding 96 hours. Okay, by notifying through digital sky platform or highlighting it on the airspace map. That means even the SP, if you see the temporary red zone shall be declared by an officer not below the rank of SP, Superintendent of Police or his equivalent, and such officer shall endeavor to keep the size of a temporary red zone reasonable and not excessive. I mean, he cannot just define anything as a red zone. He should be justify that zone as a red zone. For example, in Palgar area, there were elections were happening. So during that point in time, that SP can call that location as a temporary red zone, which will be only valid for 96 hours. Okay, and it's their entity also. Like an endeavor shall be made to inform through digital sky platform or other electronic means. That means it could be through some kind of advertisement, it could be through social media platform, it could be through email, WhatsApp, or anything to all holders of unique identification number. That means in Palgar area there could be pilots, authorized pilots, okay, who would be having drones with unique identification number because this information is there on digital sky or digital platform. within the distance of 5 kilometers from the perimeter of the red zone. That means if you have defined Palghar as an entire district as a red zone, beyond that red zone, within that 5 kilometer of diameter, okay, or the perimeter from the temporary red zone, that 5 kilometer area, all that people who are having drones and registered pilot and they are having a UIN with registered drones, they need to be informed. Okay, but if you see perimeter of the red temporary red zone of the restriction so declared under the sub rule 1, but in case no such information is received, it shall not absolve a remote pilot responsibility to verify the zonal restrictions on the digital sky platform before commencing an unmanned aircraft system operations. Meaning, whether you receive information or not receive information, whether they have done it or not done it, it is your duty as a pilot to go on a digital sky platform and check whether that location is having any kind of restrictions. If it is having the restrictions, then you should not fly your drone. You should apply for approvals. Then only you will be able to fly the drone. Or else you can hold your operations for certain period. Okay? Any questions on temporary red zone? So I'll move ahead. So operations of UAS. So as I said, you cannot have just a drone and you can put anything on that drone. Like you would have seen cross bordering or drones flying from Pakistan or China, neighboring countries, carrying ammunitions or maybe drugs, all that kind of things you have seen in the news. So carriage of dangerous, no person shall carry dangerous goods on unmanned aircraft system unless such operation is in compliance with Aircraft Dangerous Goods Rules 2003. So as I said, this carriage of dangerous goods on the aircraft came into 2003. So you should know what rules, what can you do and what you cannot carry on your drone. So ideally, whatever is been attached to your drone, that is only applicable or you can use for your operation. You can't put anything like there are. I have seen people taking phantom drones. They are putting a bucket, a box below the drone, and especially I think Akash and Ankita would be knowing it. When you are doing a drone photography, there are a lot of drones which are now seen fitted with a box, and they have a flowers, put it in, and they remotely control and drop those. So that is not as per the rules. Okay, that is illegal. Okay, because your drone is not meant for that kind of operations. So that is what it is saying. So that is a dangerous. Okay. Again, right of way. No person operating an unmanned aircraft system shall violate the right of way of unmanned aircraft, right of way of manned aircraft, and shall always remain clear of all the manned aircraft. That means the priority is always given for a manned aircraft. Okay, you cannot say that my drone I'm flying. So even you have authorization approval, your priority is always to give a way to a manned aircraft. Okay, so no person shall be operating unmanned shall violate the right of way of a manned aircraft. So manned aircraft always have a first priority and first preference of a flying in a airspace, then the unmanned aircraft. Mandatory reporting of an accident no later than 48 hours. So if you have any crash, any issues from damage of property, damage to human life, or any accident or thing, you should report to DGCA within 48 hours. So it's same to like if you have a crash, you कहीं पे अपने car crash कर दिया or something, you had an accident or something, you should always go and report to the local police station about it or whatever it is, so that you don't land up into legal formalities in future. So similarly, when you have a serious air crash of your drone, probably engineering the human life or maybe damage to a certain property or something, in that scenario, you should always report it on the digital sky platform. Okay. So these are the do's. Know the characteristics of aircraft, how to fly it safely. So whenever you are flying any particular drone, you should know about its specification characteristics and how to fly it safely. Then only you should do it. Ensure that aircraft is safe for the flight before you operate. That means you make sure there is a pre-checklist given by the OEM. You need to run through that pre-checklist and then only you should start flying it. Fly only in good visibility and weather conditions. So when we do a topic on weather and meteorology, will know what is the good visible condition and weather conditions. So in that conditions only you should fly, because you are flying the drone in visual line of sight. Make sure your drone is always visible. So keep your aircraft within your sight at all times. ऐसा नहीं कि आप फ्लाई कर रहे हो और बिल्डिंग के पीछे जा रहा है या फिर एयर व्हाट डू यू से ट्री के पीछे जा रहा है, यू आर नॉट एबल टू सी इट, यू आर रैंडमली फ्लाइंग इट. You should never fly a drone like that. So keep your aircraft within your sight at all times. Ensure the operation transmitting device unmanned aircraft compliance with IDA requirements. That means you are actually following a proper rules and regulations. I mean, this rule is not completely as of now applicable because we are not enabled ADSB or we are not enabled anything. But for example, insurance. Okay, so you have to make sure that your insurance is valid when you are flying your drone in any location. Okay? And transmitting is not applicable as of now because we are not made that mandatory as of now. Keep the sufficient distance from people, property, and other aircraft. That means it could be a manned or unmanned also. I mean, it could be a drone or it could be an aeroplane also. So you should always fly away from these devices, people, property, and other aircrafts, whether it is unmanned or manned. So these are about the do's when you are actually intend to fly your drone. What are don'ts? Do not fly the aircraft over any crowd. Okay, so whenever we are doing it, we should always try to avoid until unless it is required or you have authorization or you have a approval. Like for example, in during Kumbh Mela, there was a company by name IT Drones who had given that contract to fly the drones because they were doing surveillance and monitoring of the people. So that's why that time they were flying the drones over the people. But within certain rules and regulations, they have given certain height, certain limitations at what height and what close they can fly. Okay, they were given that your drone has to fly above 200 feet, not below 200 feet, and within 400 feet capacity. So within that space only you have to fly. You can't go very close to the people or the crowd. Okay, so that was limited for them. Do not fly an aircraft weighing more than 7. See, these basically do's and don'ts are taken from the FAA, but more or less they are similar. For us, not more than 2 kg. Okay, so do not fly an aircraft weighing more than 2 kg. That is nano or micro is allowed, but beyond that you need your this thing. Okay, I think Vinci, you can put on your mute, or I can also make a mute. Okay. Do not suspend or carry any attached item, like as I told, anything which is not valid. See, if you are doing it for some testing or something purpose, that is a different thing. But don't do operations. If you are doing it for some commercial or thinking, don't do that. If you are doing it, you should have certain approvals. You have to follow certain guidelines when you are doing it. Okay, do not drop any or discharge any item or substance from the aircraft. This was I was talking about, that flower dropping, what we normally do, in wedding or something like that. So that time we should be careful when we are doing it. Okay, do not carry any hazardous substance using aircraft. Okay, that means, I mean, those cross bordering drone flying, what is happening, so that we within the city we should not, like for example, people are trying to test their drones for delivery of this, but that is a planned, or that activity is being informed to the officials and then they are carried out. You cannot do it without approvals or without intimating the agencies about it. Do not fly where you may interfere with emergency service provider or moving vehicles where you can enter or distract drivers. So a lot of people fly drones on near the highways or place, and then they try to distract. So you should never do such things. Do not fly within the 5 kilometer of any airport or a military airbase or higher than 200 or 400 feet. Do not fly aircraft over or within restricted or prohibited or a danger area, including security sensitive locations like refineries or atomic locations, all those locations. Okay. So this about do's and don'ts about your drone flight.
Mangesh, hi. Sorry to interrupt, but I think I missed some point. So, where did this 7 kg come from? Like, where is this specified?
That is not applicable to us. For us, it is 2 kg.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, this slide is actually from FAA do's and don'ts. More or less, they are similar. Only that 7 kg where we may have to change it to 2 kg for us. Okay, this is for
Okay.
FAA.
Okay.
This slide is, I mean, this pic
Got it.
from them. But whereas all other things are common for us. I mean, they are very generic in nature.
The generic guidelines. Okay. Got it. Got it. Yeah.
I have a question also
Yeah.
regarding the PLS thing that it has to be in our line of sight. What happens FPV drones? A lot of the times they're not in our direct line of sight. We only see things through the remote. Then what are the guidelines for?
So if you see FPV drones when you are flying, they are not in a category of small. They would be either nano or they could be max micro. Okay, so micro means they are not actually falling under the rules. You are able to fly a FPV drones using FPV goggles. You are flying in a you still follow the green zone rule. Okay, and within the height limit also. So you, when you are doing FPV drones, you can't just take a FPV drone and fly anywhere in city because it's a red zone. You can't fly. You are doing that operations either for some competition or some practice, but you have to do it in a green zone. Okay,
Got it.
ideally you are not allowed to fly a drone like that. Okay, so you should see where you see these rules stop. There are a lot of still open gaps or still open points, but you need to see how these rules apply to your operations. What should I follow as a responsible pilot? What should I do so that you don't land up into a trouble? Okay, so these some slides are not so important. So basically, remote pilot, who can have a remote pilot certificate or remote pilot license. As we said, no individual other than holder of a valid enlisted on digital sky plan platforms shall operate an unmanned aircraft system. And until unless you are a valid remote pilot, have a valid pilot certificate, you are enlisted on the digital sky platform, you cannot fly a drone. A remote pilot license or a certificate will mention about the category. So your category will be rotorcraft, your subcategory will be RPAS, and your classification will be small. So that will be listed on your remote pilot license or remote pilot certificate. Who is eligible to get this remote pilot certificate or license? The person who is not less than 18 years and not more than 65. There was a person who has taken a license who at the age of 62, but now since 3 years has been passed, his license has become invalid. Okay, so beyond 65, your license will become invalid. Whatever is earlier. Okay, the person should be minimum 10th passed from a recognized or its equivalent from a recognized board. Has successfully completed such training. That means you have come one moment you complete your training, you have completed your test and everything. We submit the document to you. You become, and I mean, you will get a remote pilot certificate from a authorized remote pilot training organization. So once we do all the process, pay the fees to the BGCA, make your application and everything, within 7 days, your certificate will be available. We will be giving it to you along with your logbook. Okay, so how do you make an application? That means this process is basically for us. Okay, for RPTO or for the instructor or the accountable manager or the people who are working in RPTO. Okay, so application of a remote pilot license to be filled by RPTO. So behalf of you, we will be doing it. So complete the training specified by the Director General for category, subcategory, and class of US. Pass the test conducted by the authorized remote pilot training. That's why we have a test during post you complete your theory test, post you complete your simulator training, post you complete your flying training. Every time you will have a small test. Okay. So once you all that test results, all your reports, everything will be there will be one particular file will be created. See, I have collected some documents from you. I've collected admission form. I've collected medical certificate. I've completed got your 10 certificate, your passport, Aadhaar card, and your transaction of your fee. Everything I have collected from you. Apart from your test results, all that things, your logbook, which will be filling at the end of the last day, all that information, all that documents I will be having with me, and I will be submitting it to the DTC. Okay, so before I have to submit, I have to make an application. I have to fill this D4 form and pay the fees to the DGCA. Post that only, see, within 7 days of successful completion of the training, and passing of the test, the authorized remote pilot training organization shall make an application for remote pilot. So D4 form. So D4 form will be filling behalf of you for generating your RPC. Okay, so individual in respect to whom the application has been made to authorize remote pilot training organization shall issue a remote pilot certificate through a digital Skype. So earlier we were in position to generate the license on the digital Skype platform itself, but currently as the migration is going on, that process is on hold. We are asked to do by after sending the details to the DGC, we are asked to generate based on the number what gets generated your certificate. Okay. So within 3-4 days only this happens, but on higher side, since it is saying that 7 days, we have kept it 7 days only. Okay. So by once we complete our certification and everything, by next week, probably on Friday, you will be getting Friday or max by Monday, you should be getting your license. You may come to your office or we may send it to you at location. Okay. So validity of license, it will be valid till it is enlisted on digital Sky platform. It is valid for 10 years until unless it is suspended or cancelled for some reason. Okay, it can be renewed after 10 years after paying the fees and attending a refresher course. So if you have done a course, license is valid for 10 years. So like today is 2025, so your license will get expired in 2035. During that time, you want to renew. So maybe during that time, whatever the rules would be there, there could be a refresher course of 2 days, 3 days, or 5 days, whatever it could be. Okay, and you need to pay the fees. I mean, the RPTO normally will do all these things similar to our driving license. After 10 years or 5 years or 10 years, whenever your driving license get expired, you go to RTO and you make an application and then you give the test. Normally they don't do any kind of test because you are already driving the car. But in drone, basically you may not be flying a drone for 10 years. You may have taken a license, but you may not have flown, or you may have initially flown it for 1-2 years, but then you may have not flown. But you need to renew your license. But if you have to renew license, you have to go through that course and refresher course, and then you can get it. Now, who is exempted for getting this RPC? If you are flying a nano drone, you don't require have a license. You don't require to be a remote pilot license holder, or maybe not having a certificate also. And a micro drone, provided you are flying that drone for non-commercial purposes. So that means you are just flying for your own. Okay, that's a within 2 kg limit. You are flying a drone which is falling under micro category, but you are not flying it for commercial purposes. Non-commercial. I mean, you are flying for your own recreational. You are learning it, or you may be doing some kind of testing, or you may be developing some kind of a prototype and all that thing. So in that scenario, you don't require the person who is flying the drone may not require to be a licensed pilot. Clear? So you see the exemptions. How this? So these exemptions are not the way you see on the slides is there in the document.
I,
So
Mangesh, I have a question.
uh,
Here, in this slide, you're saying no remote pilot license shall be required for nano.
hmm.
Whereas in the form D4, there was a checkbox for nano, micro, and then small. The previous slide, the
See
form
again,
D4.
when you see nano has a definition saying less than 250 grams and it should not fly about 50 feet. अगर उसके ऊपर जा रहा है, then you definitely require a license also. So in that scenario, if you see here, okay, so initially when they made this form, they have put this, okay, whether
Hmm.
you are flying what type of drone. But ideally, there is no license given by DGCA even for nano as of now. Okay, so they assume that your nano is 250 grams only and not flying above 50 feet.
But if when you will be doing the application to the DGCA, you said it will be a small
So we'll be
unit,
taking only this small.
not the. So does that mean that if small, if I have license for small, I can do anything below that?
No, when you are small means only small. See, for anyway for nano and micro, you don't require license until
No, but
unless nano is
if
completely
I'm,
exempted, whereas
how do
micro,
I know I am filing for flying above 50 feet? I wouldn't know, or
you
is it
will
will
know
it
na,
be shown
on
in
your
the?
on your screen. You will know na, how high you are flying the drone.
Ah, because no, I'm a fresher.
And
That's why
certain
I'm.
drones are limited to fly above. Like for example, our drones are limited not to fly above 100 feet. So So in the software of that particular drone only they have put that limitations. Okay, whereas if you see DJI, I think there is a limit to fly the drone at particular high 120 feet or something ऐसा कुछ तो limit है उसमें. Or depending upon different DJI drones, whatever it's been configured in that particular drone, you need to see the documentation of that particular drone. Like our agriculture drones are limited to fly only up to 100 feet, not beyond that.
Okay.
Like that, there is a
So,
limitation. There are some drones which can fly up to 400 feet also. So what is being configured during the type certification or during the manufacturing of that drone, that will define, and that will be defined in your manuals or your documentation of your OEMs.
correct. So for DJI drones, each drone is on a different, having a different spec. So I'll have to check it with
Correct.
the manual.
Correct.
And if it is more, if it can go or has the capacity to go more than 50 feet,
Then you need a license.
so that is why I was asking. So when you apply, you will be ticking the nano and the micro.
No, because we are training under small class. Our drone is under small class. Our course is also for small. Okay. So as of now, if you see, nano is not so important for flying because whatever nano you will be using, you will be having a limitations to it. Okay. And nano pilot license is not been issued by DGC. Even for micro, it is not been issued by DPC. Only certain organizations, certain bodies have started for micro with special permissions only. Okay, so there is no
So
RPTO which is or giving authorized to give a nano and micro license.
so basically, if I am saying that I have a nano DJI and if I want to fly it, I don't need to have any license. One,
License, any license. See, agar, I'll
irrespective.
give it a simple word as of now. Okay, Indian drone industry or DGCA as of now is not so stringent
Okay.
because we are evolving. Okay, they
Yes.
want people to adopt. तो अभी नैनो का लिमिटेशन उन्होंने 50 फीट दिया है. You can fly about 250 until unless somebody catches you.
So that is what. मतलब basically
Okay,
किसी को जब पता चलेगा that time.
similarly for micro also, like for example, your DJI Phantom may also go into a micro category, micro class. Okay, you are doing the photography or videography with it. Okay, you are doing it for commercial activity. As far as nobody holds you accountable or catches you or asks you or questions you, you are flying it. The moment you fly it, moment you hold it, you are at fault. Then we'll see subsequent slides. What is what? Okay.
But I
So
can always
ideally,
say it's for non-commercial.
yeah. So non-commercial, you can fly for your own purpose, or you can say I'm flying it for non-commercial purpose. But the moment you say that I have taken a contract, I have taken thing. I mean, Ankita or Akash could put more thought on this. They are already doing it for regular purposes. So I mean, over their experience of years, they might have encountered such kind of problems also in past. You want to say something on this, Ankita, Akash?
Yeah, Mangesh, so my concern was, so what, as per my understanding, see, nano and micro should not need any pilot license unless it is specified that I want to do it for a commercial purpose, which usually doesn't come in any discussion. But practically what is happening is there will be a lot of people, like for example, different venues, who will ask you for a drone pilot license, even if you're flying like a micro.
Correct.
Now,
Correct.
if you're saying that, when you give us a license or you help us get a license and it will be specified that this is for a small, drone, small category drone, but, when it comes to micro, most of the time, like in our field, we'll be flying like a micro drone only, and we
Correct.
will be asked for a drone pilot license. But will it be an issue that we get a license for a small size drone and we have to operate a micro for a commercial use?
Exactly.
Will
So
it be like a
these are
problem?
two
Because
different.
see the
Yeah, yeah, I understand. I understand
yeah
what you are trying to say over here. Since your operations will be more into the micro category or micro class, okay, but you have a license of small. Okay, first thing you understand, you are a pilot. When you are a pilot, you know the rules and regulations of it. You are authorized to fully authorized to fly a small class drone. Okay, but again, you see the zone restrictions, zone requirements, dynamic nature of the drone, and everything is there. Okay, now assume that you are flying a micro. When you are flying a micro, the resort owner might ask you whether you are a certified pilot. See, he will not ask you whether you are a small class or a micro or anything. He will only ask whether you are authorized pilot, which means you are authorized to fly a drone. Now you are only if you see from a certification or license perspective, you are actually authorized to fly only a small class drone. Okay, because that is the only license which is being issued for a micro. As of now, there is no license being issued, or there is no RPTO who is authorized to give a license for it. Okay, because DGCA
But,
wanted only small and above to go under the licensing category. They still want micro to fly and people to fly within certain regulations, within certain exemptions criteria. Okay, now here, as I said, micro unmanned aircraft system for non-commercial, but you might be flying it for commercial purpose, but you follow the safety and regulations for it. Okay, you may, like, phantom fly kar rahe ho, you take an approval. You may take a authorization from that resort owner on a you may have some document where say whomsoever is concerned, I am authorizing uh, a company wedding nama and their pilots to fly the drone for so and so activity for so and so period. That's it. Okay, so that is how you, as of now, approach. There is no stringentness upon this. Okay, only
no,
thing is
no,
that
I
people would say that you be a authorized pilot. I mean, people will trust you. People will have a confidence on you. Whatever operations you are doing within the rules and regulations. There could be some exceptions over here. Yeah, Hari, you are saying something.
yeah. So you know, echoing what Akash said, yes, I may be getting a license for a small drone, but if I'm required, like he says, as per the situation demands, if I'm used to do a nano or a micro, how does that help? Because there are people who are really smart and say, नहीं आपका तो small license है, आप कैसे ये
But
उड़ा
for
सकते हो
nano,
इसमें है.
anyway, for nano, you don't require a license.
नहीं, but then again that's the whole issue here because then people don't understand that कि license नहीं
That is
चाहिए कहाँ लिखा
their
है.
understanding. That is their understanding. Okay. Anyway,
Then
for
it
as
was.
per the rules, you can show that as per the rule, you don't require a license for nano. For micro only, there is a discrepancy as of now is because of the commercial and non-commercial aspect to it. Okay,
And
but
I
once
have
you
faced a
know,
situation actually, just to share this, I have faced a situation where this happened in Meghalaya where the permission was taken from the resort owner for a pre-wedding shoot.
uh,
And the village people actually objected and said that no, आपको village panchayat से लेना पड़ेगा ये करेगा. Whereas the entire
that
thing
is
was.
what I'm saying. Like, if you are doing it in resort, it's the complete ownership of the resort. Okay, if
No,
resort owner is
the
giving you
owner,
the
resort
approval,
owner has given the permission, but the village people have come in.
then village cannot come into this picture because that's a private property. As simple as that. If you are flying outside the resort, okay, somewhere we do know some locations like near the river, or maybe some location which is extension of the outside the resort, in the river or somewhere, some place could be outside the perimeter of the resort. Then obviously you need to take the permission from the local, maybe a gram panchayat, or maybe a local police station also. You need to intimate or take the approvals from them. तो उसके लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा, आपको पहले वो रिसोर्ट ओनर का परमिशन लेना पड़ेगा, एंड देन यू शुड डिफाइन व्हाट इज योर ऑपरेशन इंटेंशंस, व्हाई एंड व्हाट आर यू ट्राइंग टू डू, एंड देन यू मेक अप्रूवल फॉर इट. So, based on it. So, depends upon how to work. See, as of now, I will say in this scenario, your resort owner, since he is in need of this activity, he may give you the permission. But I will tell you, the Gram Panchayat may deny it. The local enforcement police, the people like police, or those people will also deny. Not necessarily even you are approaching it, you may not. So sometimes this is there. This is how currently our environment is in India. So a lot of people will not
Because
do it. Like,
any
I'll tell
police
you, I
office
was.
station,
Hmm,
like any police station, you go and say, I want to fly a drone and I want
they
your
will say
permission.
no.
बोले, drone क्यों कर drone? अरे सर उसके कान खड़े हो जाते हैं.
Correct, correct. I know. I'll tell you my example. I was actually taking a session in one of the resort. There were students come from colleges. Okay, and we were doing some event for them, and there we have done a small 1 hour session on the drones also. I mean, we were introducing them a drone. That point in time, the law, I mean, somebody tipped the local police station that drones are being flying. So I have a proper approval authorization from my resort owner, where I intend to do it. And that resort was almost a big resort, almost 12, 14 acres of land. Okay, and our intent, our flying of the drone was not more than even बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाएगा. I would say it was not more than 50 feet also. We were only trying to demonstrate about the drones, components of drone, showing them how drones work and all that thing within the visual line of sight. I mean, हम ऐसे fly करके ऊपर किधर उड़ा भी नहीं रहे थे. हम लोग within that ground, जो resort के अंदर जो ground था, empty ground था, in that ground only we were flying. Still, that enforcement came, asked. I gave them all the details. I was a licensed pilot as well as an instructor, and even the people who were actually demonstrating, they were also the licensed pilot for small. Though our drone was falling under the micro, we said that it is micro drone. We are authorized pilots, and we were doing it for non-commercial. We were not doing any commercial activity. We were not getting money out. It was just a demonstration we were doing, okay, for the students. We were introducing them, but still our operations were asked to stop, okay, and they said that you make application and then you do it. But anyway, we had finished our activity, so we said next time when we are doing it, we will make application. So next time, we actually, just to know, purposely we went to them, to that police chowki, and we gave that application. That time, that guy, when he said, "Oh, drone operation," he said, "You don't submit this application at my place. You go to the main office." So I have to go to Safale station, where their main head office was there for that region, that location. वहां जाके application दिया. Again, that time also, I mean, I was doing this purposely to know. Okay, so as rightly you said, Hari, whenever you go to any police station and you intend to do that,
It's
they will
it's
never,
like
they will drone बोला तो उनके ऐसे कान खड़े हो जाते हैं. I mean, you know, so that's why.
and the next dialogue is invariably the next dialogue is what Amitabh Bachchan said. जाओ पहले उस आदमी का sign लेके आओ.
हाँ, जाओ उस आदमी का साइन. Correct. So
Don't
ideally,
submit it here.
my approach will be always, whenever like we are doing. I mean, I have seen some people doing it. See, again, it depends upon how big and how complex your environment. Like wedding में क्या होता है ना? Normally, don't people don't. I mean, every wedding nowadays, the drone flying is happening. Okay, every wedding I would say. ऐसा आज के तारीख में ऐसा कोई wedding नहीं है जहाँ पे drone flying shoot नहीं होता. Okay, because it gives a complete different perspective, and people want it. So it's only how you operate. And then again, you are flying those small drones only. DJI का, Mavic है, or Air है, or even Phantom है, small drones. Small, I mean, not from small for that perspective, size is absolutely. So they will be falling under either nano or micro. So you take always approval from the person, the owner, who is actually asking you for to giving this requirement. As of now, that is what people are following. आपको वो police station, मतलब police station you only go when you are doing it outdoor shoots or something like that, or you are doing somewhere. Like one of my students was gone to some location where he was actually a flying drone. He was doing some pre-wedding shoot near some forest. वो forest के बाहर, अंदर भी नहीं था, forest के बाहर था on some location. But then his drone was confiscated, and he was asked to submit a document and all the things. वो 2-3 दिन चला, but then he took the support of the local politician and all the things, and then he got it released. Because see, sometimes these are intentionally or purposely done, okay, by the people, because they know that there is no clarity, or don't know how and what can be done in that scenario, whether you have taken approval or not, because every time they will be always at the upper hand. Okay, so ये है, complexity है, still clarities are still not available with us, but with the new platform coming into the picture, we see that DGC is also, because all this, whatever the inputs have gone from the RPTOs, from the students to the DGC. So DGC intends to make this simpler. You saw that there were 75 forms earlier. Now there are only 5 forms. So this is the 4th form we are discussing, uh, D4 form, which actually goes for the licensing. So it's not that आपने suppose medium का license मिल गया, you can fly small class. you need to have a small class. So, like for example, I did my small, then I upgraded myself to medium. Okay, I may upgrade in next 3 months. I'm intend to upgrade my class to hybrid also, hybrid category also. So I am only allowed to fly a drone of rotorcraft, RPAS in small and medium. I want to upgrade my category to hybrid also. I mean, I may upgrade my category hybrid for small and medium also, both in next 3 months. Okay, so I'm planning my training for that for hybrid category also. So if you are having a small, that doesn't mean you can fly on any other category. You are only intent to do that. Similarly, अगर medium है तो ऐसा नहीं कि medium आ रहा है तो small. It's like a driving. Like if you have a four wheeler, you can drive only four wheeler. If you have again four wheeler में आपको heavy करना है, truck drive करना है तो उसका अलग license आता है, right? So similarly, same thing is in for drones also.
As
Mangesh,
a,
I understand this point. I just wanted to understand. See, you as far as I understood so far, you were saying that for nano and for micro, for whatever use, like commercial, non-commercial, there's no license that is being issued. There's no authority that, or a governing body that can issue a license for micro category also, is what I understood.
Correct.
So the best case scenario is that we go for like a small, size drone license, which I understand, which we are doing. Now, in future, let's say we are, doing like a drone photography using a micro category drone, and then we're doing it for a commercial purpose. And let's say we get into a situation where somebody says, okay, where is your license to operate this? Is it okay to show that small category drone pilot license saying that, okay, micro clay, there's no separate
They
license.
will
This
not.
is what
It
it
is.
is. Is it okay for that?
Yeah, yeah. See, basically, ideally understand one thing. This law enforcement policy people will not understand all this logic, small, micro, nano, and all that. They don't know about it. They see drone as a drone only. अब drone उड़ा रहे हो आप pilot license pilot हो गया, they will ask you first. They will not ask you कि आप
Agreed.
small या
Agreed.
not like
Can we in future get at least a clarification on this from from DGC or somewhere? Because see, they specified that you need a license for commercial purpose using a micro drone.
so.
They
As
specified
I
that,
said,
but there's a gap, right? If they're
yeah,
not
yeah,
giving a
that
license
gap
for
is
that.
there. DGCA is working on it. DGCA is working on putting the micro category license also because they are seeing there are some drones. But then again, this is subjective because see, one place DGCA is saying DJI drones are completely banned in India. But are they really banned? बोल तो रहे banned है. You cannot import the DGCA drones. Sorry, DJI drones. But still, you are busy. We are using. We are flying. We are registering them also on platform.
absolutely.
So you see that that gap is there. Okay, so DGC is still not enforcing 100% things. So आप micro drone fly कर रहे हो, आपके पास license नहीं है because there is no license valid also. See, DGC is working with some RPTOs to come up with some kind of a licensing for micro also, but still it is not.
No, better would be like rather than giving some license for micro or nano, rather we can say that if you are doing small, then see the principles remain the same as far as
As of now, since you are licensed pilot, you are having authorization for small. Below that, below that there is a nano and
it should include all the micro, small, nano, everything.
but
That
then it is
should
not like that, na. See, for example, आप जैसे for example आप
maybe for medium and this it can say
yeah,
no, you
so
have to have a
maybe in
separate like
future, see, DJC has all these inputs given by RPTOs and the pilot owners or
right,
who are
right, right.
actually doing it. So DGCA in the last, I think 3 months back when there was a meeting held on this topic, there was a huge discussion around this, especially on the micro for commercial purposes. Okay, as Akash was pointing out. So these inputs have already been shared. So DGC is working on this to get things sorted out because there is an ambiguity in this statement in the drone rules. Okay.
Yeah, just as an input, probably from this session or rather this batch of students also would
So
request you to
we have already made that suggestion to DGC. I told you,
hmm,
no, 3 months
yeah,
back when
they
there was
can even
yeah,
combine a nano and a micro, put them together, and then you can say small, probably.
correct, correct. So as I said, as we plan to do the operations of the drone insurance is mandatory. So the provision of the Motor Vehicle Act 1988 rules So same Motor Vehicle Act of 1988, okay, is applicable to the drone insurance also. Okay, so compensation, unmanned aircraft system, and compensation in case of damage to life or property caused by such unmanned aircraft. Similar, if your car causes any damage to the life or a property, the way the compensation is given for the maybe person who is actually driving the car, or maybe who has succumbed to the injuries, maybe external or internal. Based on that, whatever the insurance is being carrying out, that compensation would be paid. So when you are purchasing a drone insurance, you need to make sure that you need read the document, what is covered, and ask the person what is not covered. Okay, earlier there were no, though the rule, when the rule was framed, there was no insurance company who was actually providing the drone insurance. But over the period of time, like I think now 6 7 companies have, under the insurance regulatory IRDA, what we call, under there, lot of like ICICI is providing, National Insurance is providing, there is a company by name Drogo Insurance is company. They are all providing the insurance, but you need to make sure that you go through the policy document, because lot of time they like same, है ना, हम लोग कार का इंश्योरेंस लेते हैं तो प्रीमियम कम ज्यादा होता है, but then we don't see why there is a difference in the premium. There could be some clause which may have been omitted or been maybe excluded, and that's why premium has got. हम क्या देखते हैं, अरे इसका 4,000 है, इसका 3,000 है, let me take this. But we should ask why your is 3,000, what is not covered, and what is covered in their insurance when they are charging 4,000. So you should ask what is covered and what is not covered. Okay. Again, if you see here for nano drones, the third party insurance is been excluded, not required. May operate without third party insurance because it's a small 250 grams. So वो कितना डैमेज कर सकता है, करने को जाएगा तो कर सकता है, it's not that, but still it has been as of now excluded. Now the topic has come that, you must have heard a technology called swan technology, okay, which is again flying a nano kind of drones only, okay, small drones, but they can create like multiple swan of drones can cause a damage. So that's why the question has come whether the nano drone should also cover under the third party insurance or not. So these are some open points in the rules. Over the subsequent period of years, I think there could be amendment coming in the rules. Okay, so whether to include, not to include. Similarly, they say licensing का question है. Similarly, the insurance part will also come into the picture. Okay, because sometimes people are telling that this nano drone at a high speed can act like a bullet, or could be, could cause damage to the life or property also. We have seen application of such kind of drones also. So that is a again debatable question on this part also. So coming back to insurance, why is drone insurance important? Because it's prone to crash owing to the bad weather, power failure, inexperienced pilot, or maybe certain unexpected situations. Okay, sometimes pilot can also fall sick, or he may have a mental state or human performance, what we call. So that also the damage can be caused. Okay, so the drone crash means damage to the body. I mean, drone itself could get damaged, damage to the payload. Sometimes the payloads are more expensive than the drone itself. Okay, in that scenario, also you need to make sure that your drone is under insurance, or damage to any person or property to whom the drone crashing of the drone lands or falls. Okay, the liability part. That's why we should always consider taking the drone insurance. Okay, mandatory third party liability. I mean, what it depends upon your operations. You may doing operation for a period of small period, so you can take a small amount of insurance. Like you are doing it for 2 days or 3 days or even one day. You can take insurance for that particular days also. It could be 4 hours, one day, or 1 year, depending upon. So you can tell the insurance provider how your insurance is required, what period you require. Okay, and then you have to give them these details. I mean, your policy should have a drone serial number, UIN number, and they should have the pictures of your drones before you apply for the insurance. Okay, again, the liability can be 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, depending upon the plan, which will subsequently have their premium defined also accordingly. Like when I took the insurance for my drones, it was initially of some around 6,000, 7,000 rupees. But then when I asked them what is covered, not covered, then I understood that it was covered only for a daytime operations. That means from morning, from sunrise to sunset, whereas I was not covered after the sunset. I said I need for 24 by 7 and for period of 1 year. So my insurance from some 6 7 thousand it gone to 11,000 rupees. So I got my drone insurance covered for completely for 24 by 7, 365 days a year. Okay, because I am not going to fly drone every. I mean, I am going to fly whenever I require. But for your activities purposes, you can purchase. Like normally when we purchase a insurance when we are flying or when we are traveling, that point in time also, for that particular period also, or we are doing some overseas travel. That time also we purchase a temporary insurance to cover up that risk factor. So again, similarly for the drone also, you can define how much period you are doing a project for some location for a period of 1 month. You can take a insurance for your drone for that particular period of month, because after that you are going to come back and you are going to process the data or whatever it is. That is a different activity in itself. That doesn't require license, or you're not going to fly your drone that point in time. So whenever you intend to fly your drone for a period, you take the insurance accordingly, and then accordingly what liability it can cover: drone, then the payload, then your property, life, all that aspects you need to cover it. So accordingly, your liability will be covered, whether it is 10, 5 lakh, 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs, whatever you intend. Accordingly, they will create the policy, and then they will have the premium cost. Okay, so we as we were talking about different what we say forms. Okay, so your D1 form was for the type certification. The fee was 100 rupees. For registration of your drone or transfer of your drone or registration of your drone, fee is again 100 rupees. Even for listing or renewal, I mean, you are taking a first time license or you are renewing your license. Even for that, the fee is 100 rupees. If you are going for authorization or renewal of the authorization of remote pilot training organization, that means for RPTO, like us, Bombay Flying Club, whenever they wanted to authorize or they have to go for renewal of their licenses, we have to pay fees of 1,000 rupees. Okay, so earlier this fees was 25,000 rupees. Okay, now this has been reduced to 1,000 rupees, and the other fees are just simple 100 rupees. Okay, so that's how the rules. So if you see 2018 the rules, this was very much higher side. Okay, 10,000 rupees aisa kuch to tha. Now this has been brought down to only 100 rupees. Okay, so if you want to register your drone on the platform, you just have to spend 100 rupees. That's it. Okay, or even your license needs to be created or maybe renewal karna hai, so just 100 rupees. Or even for applying for type certified also, you can just pay 100 rupees. But the cost of the type certification for your drone is almost for 35 lakhs to 50 lakhs, within that range. Okay, so it's not only about making the application, but right from building the drone to giving it for type certification and all that things, even you need to pay fees to the authorized testing entities also. उनका ही fees कुछ 3 4 लाख रुपया है. Okay, so that's why I said 35 lakhs to 50 lakh rupees is the cost of your drone getting type certified. Okay, or for example, remote authorized remote pilot training organization. The application is only 1,000 rupees, but for me to establish a remote pilot organization, cost is somewhere around 30 lakhs to 40 lakhs, or sometimes even 50 lakhs. Okay, because I need to purchase a type certified drone. I need to purchase a 1 acre, minimum 1 acre of land. I need to have a classroom. I need to have a simulator room. I need to set up a simulator. I need to set up a battery charging room. Lot of things are there when I'm setting up the infrastructure. So that whole cost, I need to have a 2 instructors for my RPTO. Okay, so all these things will cost. See, I need to consider, I first 6 months I may be not doing any operations in my RPTO, but I am paying salaries to them, because the moment I make an application, I need to have those instructors on board on my payrolls. Okay, so we took almost 3 months to get the authorization for the new base. Okay, so 3 months my trainers were not doing anything. I'm been paying them salary for not doing anything, but they need to be onboarded on my uh, roles or my company roles. Okay, So again, cancellations where the director general or cancellation or suspensions of your license, where the director general given an opportunity to be heard, satisfied person contract. I mean, if you fall into any kind of issues or regulations, you don't follow regulations and you land into something, your license, your authorization, or whatever approvals you have, you know, can be cancelled or can be suspended, like any certificate, authorization, or approval granted under these rules. So DGCA can cancel or suspend your license, certificate, authorization, or approval granted under these rules. You will be given a chance to justify, okay, or maybe apologize or whatever it could, or you may be um, asked you to give a written, this thing, or maybe pay some penalty or something like that. In that scenario, they may revoke it, okay, or they may. Uh, but if you do not give justification or you do not give your pay the penalty, whatever it is, whatever it has been implied to you, it may get your license cancelled, your authorization may get cancelled, your approval may get cancelled. So you have to make then fresh application for everything. Okay, so penalties and power, as I said, if the person has contravened or failed to comply with the provision of these rules, he may, for a reason to be recorded leave or penalty not exceeding rupees 1 lakh. पहले 25 lakh rupees था, now it has been reduced to 1 lakh rupees only. So more than 1 lakh rupees they cannot charge as a penalty in accordance to with the provision section A of the Act. So this is as per the Aircraft Act 1934. Act जब हम just when we just write act word act, that means it is following the Aircraft Act 1934. So based on that, your penalty is only up to 1 lakh rupees, provided you do not provide any justification. You are not providing writing in writing what has happened, why has happened, and you are giving in writing that such thing will not happen. In case you have been given any penalty like 50,000 ka penalty diya, so you have to pay penalty, or you can apply to reduce that penalty also. If they hear it, they may reduce it from 25,000 rupees to maybe 10,000 rupees also sometimes. Or they may say, no, you have to pay 50,000 rupees or 25,000 rupees only. Then you have to pay. If you do not pay within the time, they will give you 1 month time. If you do not pay the penalty and all the things, it will get cancelled. Okay. Power to inspect. DGCA has, or any authorized person has power in a special order in writing, may inspect any unmanned aircraft system, any unrelated facility, interact with any personnel, or inspect any document or record for the purpose of securing compliance with these rules and the provision of the Act. So with respect to these rules and the Aircraft Act, under that DGCA is authorized to inspect any given. And you've seen that a lot of time DGCA people visiting the airports or any facility where the training is being conducted or where the operations, like the people who fly charter airplanes and all that. A lot of times sometimes there are known audits, or sometimes there are some surprise audits also. So because they have a power to inspect. Okay, so like we are flying a drone, a DGC person can come to our flying zone and can any given point in time he can come with a known or intimated audit, or he can do a surprise audit also. Okay, so they have that power to inspect under these rules. So under drone rules 2021, this is summary. Drone registration for nano is not required, but you can do it. A lot of people have been doing it. So we'll see in Digital Sky platform, a lot of nano drones have been registered. Micro is required, small is required, medium is required, large is required. For type certification, nano is not required, is exempted. But you see, micro can be type certified. Small can also be is required for type certificate. Medium is there, large is there. Pilot license again for nano is not required. For micro, they are saying you can go for it, because this is what is for the latest discussions what we are saying. But as of now, this authorization is not been provided to any RPTO to give the micro licenses, whereas we have a small, medium, and large. Why this is tick mark? Because they are talking about commercial aspect. When you are doing non-commercial, you really don't require a license. But since commercial aspect is coming under the micro also, we are thinking about having the pilot license for micro class also. Permission in green zone. See, as of now here there is no tick, so not required. But urban certain kind, like forest, like Hari told about. When we are doing photography forest locations or some locations like where they are sensitive areas like waterfalls or those locations. That may be coming under the forest location or some authority it is. Okay, there you required a permission, though they are under a green zone. So, whereas in yellow zone, we know the demarcation of yellow zone. Yellow zone is from 5 kilometers till 12 kilometers from the restricted area or from the location of the red zone, airport red zone, for example, what we say. So, wherever there is any of this class of drones you are flying, you require a permission. Even red zone, you require. For R&D, education and testing purposes, you don't require any permission over here. Okay, but then there is a limitation. So this part I will explain you when I am opening the drone document. Okay, so I'll read through that section over here why it is not required. It's saying. Okay, so with that we exceeded a lot of time here, but I see that this topic is very much important and this requires that much time. Though PG say that you take only session of one and a half hour. Okay, but I have encountered whenever I have taken this session, it has taken that much time because it needs a lot of time of talking and discussion about it. That's why I spent time. Okay, so now it's almost 1:45. We'll go for a break, lunch break.
Yeah. Can I have one question only?
Yeah, please.
Okay, see, I understand that DFC is also doing your CPL, your commercial pilot license.
Correct.
Now, your commercial pilot license, is it valid across the globe or is it only for India?
Now, if you see the aviation world is following the ICAO principles, okay, or ICAO guidelines. Now, the aviation world has evolved in a such a way that your commercial pilot license is valid across the globe. Okay, but when you are getting a CPL, what CPL you are getting? You are a pilot. Okay, and you are being trained on what aircraft? You are being trained on a Cessna, a
Cessna.
small training aircraft. Okay,
Hmm.
that means that you can fly a Boeing? No, right? So for
Okay.
you have to get trained on those aircraft also before you fly. Either you can go for a private training on those aircraft, or you are being taken over by some company which is having, like, let's say you they hired you as a pilot or pilot. Initially, you will not be given a fly a Boeing aircraft, right? So you will be
Definitely not.
first when let's say you are hired by Air India. So what Air India will do? Air India has their own training academy. So what they will do? The people who are either they will take a fresh people and train them for CPL, or they may take a direct CPL also. Okay, so they will take direct CPL. They will train those people through their cost on Boeing or Airbus, and then you will be given a role of a first officer under somebody, under a guidance, as a dummy, as a what we call as a buddy, and you will be flying. That's how it happens in the aviation world. Whereas in drone, your license is only valid in India. There is no across, like you can't. You are an authorized pilot in India. That means you can't fly a drone in Europe or US. Okay, as of now, there
So
is.
are there any talks in that direction
Yes,
by DGCA?
ICAO is working on it. I think European country ESA, okay, what we call it ESA, is working on, because that is lot of requirements has come, especially in European countries where people, tourists who wanted to fly drone for a certain period, where they wanted to have a refresher kind of course, and for a temporary period they are giving you license provided you are a trained pilot in your country, you are having a license in. So that some talk is happening, that is a 2 days training. I think it is costing some $25 or something, 20 or $25, and but prior to that you have to give there some online test, and then you have to go for a 2 days training. Okay, and you get that temporary license for that period. That's what I heard about it, but I'm not sure about it whether it has been implemented or not implemented.
Okay, understood. So it is anyway an evolving industry
Yeah,
and it will
yeah.
still
So,
take.
I'll talk more about history about drones when I come to a topic on fixed wings or rotorcraft. There you'll come to know how this industry has evolved. Okay, so over the different topics, we will learn more about it. How this actually the industry also has evolved. Okay, and how US is US or European countries, Australia or Singapore, all these locations, they adopted drones very early compared to India. India started from 2015, but rules regulations aate it came to 2021. So we lost that 5 years of time. Okay, whereas they have already developed and they have evolved. I'm telling 2016 say 2018, within that period of 2 years, the moment they released their rules, they had 1 lakh registered pilots. Whereas as of now, as I am talking to you, we have only 12,000 pilots. So
Yes,
our
there abroad they have online system. They just download an app and make an application for flying a drone, and it comes within minutes. That's what I
yeah,
have.
yeah. But still, it is not that simple because their examination is very difficult to clear.
Very difficult. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so rules and regulations are also a little bit, but still people are able to make it. Okay. Okay, so we'll keep on talking. Let's take a break. We'll come back at 2:50. Fine for everyone? 1 hour? Or you want less?
Fine.
Okay, 1 hour. Okay, no problem. So we'll come back at 2:50 then. Okay. So I will just
Yeah.
stop it and I'll ask the admin to connect back up after 1 hour. Okay, so 2:50 we'll come back again. Okay, thank you. Okay, welcome Akash. Welcome Ankita. I think everyone is back. So I've just opened the Drone Rules 2021 document. Okay, this is the official document of Government of India released by Ministry of Civil Aviation. Okay, so this is 43-page document. Half of it is in Hindi and half of it is in English. We'll go to English directly. So these rules, Ministry of Civil Aviation, as I said, notification on 25th August 2021. The Drone Rules 2021 is the name of the document. Okay, the draft Drone Rules, as I said earlier, it was released on 15th of July 2021. Okay, dated 15 July 21, inviting objections and suggestions from all personnel likely to be affected thereby before the specified period. Okay, and whereas the objection suggestions received in respect of the draft rules within the period so specified have been taken into consideration. Okay, so under Aircraft Act 1934, central government hereby releases these rules or following rules. Okay, these rules may be called as Drone Rules 2021. So as earlier under 1934, there was a Aircraft Rules 1937. Similarly, under Aircraft Act 1934, the Drone Rules 2021 was released on 25th of August 2021. Okay, shall come into the force on the date of their publication in the official gazette. For whom these rules are applicable? These rules are applicable similar to Aircraft Act. All person owning, possessing, engaged in leasing, operating, transferring, maintaining an unmanned aircraft system in India. All unmanned aircraft systems that are registered in India and all unmanned aircraft systems that are being operated. Okay, where when we were talking about aircraft, we were saying flying, operated from the time being in and over India. Okay, so these are the three things where these rules are applicable. Okay, now these rules are not applicable. The provision of Aircraft Rule 1937 shall not be applied to unmanned aircraft system except in case of unmanned aircraft system with MTW more than 500 kg. We talked about the classification in which large was over and above 150 grams, but that 150 kilogram it can go up to how much? So higher limit is 500 kg. Below 500 kg, drone rules will be applicable. Okay, whereas aircraft rules will be not applicable into all our classification of the drones. But the moment your unmanned aircraft system, though it is a drone, it could be unmanned aircraft system also, like drone taxi or kind of thing. It can go more than 500 kilograms. In that scenario, not only the drone rules will be applicable, but it will also aircraft rules 1937 will be applicable to that aircraft more than 500 kilograms. Again, these rules shall not apply to unmanned aircraft system belonging to or used by naval or military or air force of Union of India. So any unmanned aircraft system belonging to military, naval or air force teams, they will not be following this drone rules 2021. Okay, so these are some definitions. So Act means Aircraft Act 1934, Authorized Remote Pilot Training Organization or RPTO, authorized testing entities. Contracting states means any country. I was telling you. Digital Sky platform means online platform hosted by digital for various activities related to management of unmanned aircraft system activities in India. Director General means the person from Director of General of Civil Aviation. Drone, again drone, people have confusion drone and unmanned aircraft system. So drone means an unmanned aircraft, so vice versa. Either you can use word unmanned aircraft system or drone or UAS. Okay, drone acknowledgement number. This was earlier before UN number there was something called DAN. Okay, this now has been discarded, removed. Okay, geofencing means restricting movement of unmanned aircraft system within a defined airspace. Okay, then you have a definition of green zone. Okay, so if you read this, means airspace defining space above the land area or territorial water of India up to vertical distance of 400 feet or 120 meter that has not been designated as a red or yellow zone in the airspace map of unmanned aircraft system operations, and the airspace up to vertical distance of 200 feet or 60 meter above, okay, between lateral distance of 8 kilometers to 12 kilometers from perimeter of the operational aeroplane. So this is exactly the way we saw the picture. Okay. Whereas reading this doesn't give us the visibility or don't make us understand how and what it is. So the picture gives us more clarity and better understanding of the statements. Okay, yellow zone again, red zone. Okay, then it talks. I mean, these are, see, this document is not meant in a purpose of learning or anything. It is just they have made it from a perspective of putting the things into the document. Okay, so see, all of a sudden from green zone, red zone, yellow zone, they have just put a definition of hybrid drone, model aircraft. Okay, now if you see a model remotely piloted aircraft system means what? Remotely piloted aircraft system with all of weight not exceeding 25 kilograms. Okay, I told you, right? So if you have a model remotely piloted aircraft, that means aero modeling you are doing. So that aero modeling or whatever the aeroplanes you are flying for educational research, design, testing, or recreational purpose only and operated within visual line of sight, then only it is called as modally remotely piloted aircraft system. So subcategory में जो model our पास whatever the definition is there, this is the definition of it. Okay, operator, person, prototype. Now again, prototype means unmanned aircraft system developed for purpose of research and development or obtaining a type certificate. So if you have developed a drone, it will be called as a prototype till it is been under research and development or for obtaining a type certificate. Then QCI, autonomous body set up by government India to jointly in its to publicly privately partnership to establish, operate national accreditation structure and promote quality. So all that ISI certification or whatever the quality certifications are being given by Quality Council of India. Okay, remote pilot license means license issued by the Director General to any individual under Rule 34. Remote pilot station means remote pilot aircraft system containing equipment used to pilot the remotely piloted aircraft. That means your control station. Okay? Control station is also a remote pilot station. Type certificate means a certificate issued by Director General or any other entity authorized by Director General. Unique identification number means unique identity used for registering the unmanned aircraft system. Okay, UTM means unmanned aircraft system. Traffic management system means system that provides traffic management for safe and expedites flow of unmanned aircraft traffic and avoids collision between manned and unmanned traffic through collaborative integration of person, information technology, facility, and service. So basically, these are the things which we still not have that mature industry as of now. So whatever the drones we are currently flying, they are flying individually. Okay, so once we have this system available where people are able to, I mean, where multiple UTMs or maybe a UTM platform accessible, like how we have digital sky platform. Similarly, a UTM platform will be available, so which will actually monitor the drones flying in your vicinity and give you the update of the location. The way ATC tracks all the manned aircraft, we need a system to have this kind of technology to be evolved. Okay, so as of now, we don't have that kind of system. Worldwide, still the system is getting evolved, and even India, they have couple of OEMs, or I would say startups, who are actually working with this. They are already, as I said, I told you the API for the airspace map. You can take that API and integrate with your software also, and you can have the visibility of the drones available. Provided drones are able to broadcast their location, their altitude, their speed, all that information, so that it can be tracked on the UTM platform. Okay, the words expression used here may not defined in aircraft rule or shall have same meaning and assign them to and said act to. I mean, these are some. This is the way actually the rules or the legal documents are been written, just to safeguard everything. So if you see part that was about the part one. So like this in drone rules 2021, there are 12 parts. Okay, we have seen the part one, part two. Like that, there are 12 parts, and there are 55 rules. Okay? So you see now part two, rule number four. Rule number four talks about categorization of unmanned aircraft systems. We saw that there are three categories: aeroplane, rotorcraft, and hybrid. Whereas they are further subcategorized as remotely piloted aircraft system, model air remotely piloted air system, and autonomous aircraft system. Rule number five talks about classification. Okay, classification like based on nano, weighing less than or equal to 250 grams. Micro is 250 but less than 2 kg. Small is again 2 kg to less than 25 kg. Medium is 25 kg to 150, and large is weighing more than 1. So part 2 is about category and classification. So there are two rules, rule number 4, rule number 5. Part 3 is basically certification. This is basically a type certification. We saw about type certification. So form D1 is basically used to apply for the type certification. Okay, so what is the concept of having a type certificate? Made in India technology, design and components, unmanned aircraft systems, and Indian regional navigation satellite system, namely navigation with Indian constellation. So if you see, these are the things written, but still we are not, even the type certification drones what we are using, we are not using this. We are still dependent on the GPS. Okay, so we are still not fully autonomous, or I would say fully not indigenous, made in India kind of thing. We're still dependent on a lot of foreign parts. So right now, to just make sure that the industry is doing development, innovating, and all the things, some exceptional are there, okay, with respect to the rules. Government of India wants you to develop the drones, come up with a new idea. There were companies who were initially got their type certification of drones using all components from China. Recent times, in last I would say 1 year time, there are some type certified drones are come up where they are developed within India with some component from outside, some component developed within India itself. So like right now we have couple of OEMs which are making uh, their own motors, okay, their own circuitries, okay, own propellers. So there are components which are now getting developed and made in India also. Okay, like battery. Battery was completely initially procured from China directly. But in recent time, we have seen that we are currently only importing the cells. Okay, whereas the battery what we intend to make are being getting assembled in India itself now. Okay, a lot of batteries are getting assembled locally over here. but still we are dependent for cell with China. Okay? We do not have a battery cells which are being manufactured in India so extensively. Okay? At the small level, people are doing it, but still, because of lack of lithium and all the things, we are still lagging into those kind of development. Okay, so type certification. So whatever I have written into the slides, everything is here. Okay, like acceptance, approval by foreign regulators, imports by Director General of Foreign Trade. We talk about then mandatory features. Okay, three mandatory features we talked about. No permission, no takeoff, real-time tracking beacon, geofencing capabilities. Okay, every person who owns unmanned shall adopt safety features notified by the sub-rule 1 within such period not less than 6 months from the date of publication of such notification as central government may specify. So as of now, Government of India has only specified about geofencing. So these two rules still are not 100% applicable. Okay, there are drones which have tried and tested with real-time Beckham and all the things, but nobody still government has not make it mandatory. Okay, exemptions we talk about type certification, model aircraft, and the nano are exempted from having the type certification of the drones. Part 4 is basically again registration. Okay, D2 form. We need to fill the D2 form, okay, and pay the fees, and then we'll get the UIN number for the that UIN number we needs to be linked with the flight controller and the remote controller. If you're done with that, you cannot change the flight controller and the remote control of the drone. In that scenario, you have to deregister that drone, change the component, and then re-register back again. Okay, to make have a valid UIN number for the drone. Okay. Then transfer, we have seen transfer using D3 form, deregistration again from D3 form. Okay. So this part 5 is very important for the remote pilot. Okay. So airspace map we talk about, 30 days, the red zone, yellow zone, green zone with horizontal resolution equal or finer than. So when we zoom into that airspace map, we can see the map maximum finer up to 10 meters. Okay. So that much clarity that map has. Okay, that's what it says about. So that's how the when these rules were actually released, that time we didn't have digital sky platform. Whereas it says that central government may within 30 days of the date of notification of these rules publish on the digital sky platform airspace map for unmanned aircraft system operations segregating entire airspace of India into red zone, yellow zone and green zone with horizontal resolution equal to or finer than 10 meters. So after these rules was released to the public, then only that digital sky platform was made publicly available. That is, within 30 days they made it applicable, available for everyone. Interactive maps. So as we said, these are it has also APIs where I can have my own platform and I can integrate these maps with my map for there are OEMs which are actually developing a sub platforms where rather going on to digital sky, I can go to their platform and get most of the things done on their platform itself. Like putting a flight plan, monitoring the movement of the drones, registering the drones, registering the pilot. I mean, there are different platforms which OEMs are getting developed. Okay, some or other features are being incorporated. Mandatory pre-flight verification. This rule is very important with respect to the drone pilot. Before commencing an unmanned aircraft system operation, a remote pilot shall mandatorily verify digital sky platform for any notification or restriction applicable to unmanned aircraft system operation in intended area of operation. So this rule number 21 is the most important rule with respect to the operations of the drones. Okay. So requirement of like no person red zone, yellow zone without permission. In green zone you don't require, but see here it is written subject to the provision of rule 21. That means even though there is no rule required, I mean no permission is required in green zone, still you go through your digital sky platform to see any restrictions is applied. So it talks about the dynamic nature of the zoning, temporary red zone. We have seen this. Okay, so temporary zone, superintendent of police only can be fined for how much time? 96 hours at a time. Okay, and then they will keep, but still whose responsibility is remote pilot responsibility to verify the zonal restrictions or the digital sky platform. Okay, access to the digital. Who has the access to the digital platform? So all the nodal officer of state government, unitary law enforcement agency shall be provided direct access to the digital sky platform. Safe operations of the drones. Yeah, no person shall operate unmanned aircraft system manner either directly or indirectly to endanger the safety and security of any person or property. Okay, so this is the most again another one of the important drone rules 26. Okay, again prohibition of carriage of arms, ammunition, explosives, and military stores. Okay, then carriage of dangerous goods as per the aircraft rules 2003. Right of way. Who has the right of way? Manned aircraft is always having the first preference to fly in the airspace. Mandatory reporting of accident. Within 48 hours of the accident, you should report it on the digital sky platform. Okay. So part 5 is more important for the drone pilot. Now part 6 is basically a remote pilot license. Okay. How and what we have seen this. Okay. D4 form which we fill. Okay. And how we get the license. Then part 7 is basically for RPTO organization like us, Bombay Flying Club. And so how do we apply for the license? Within how many days? What is required for that license? So there is a separate document for us to become a remote pilot. There is a different document also, which this is just a basic. I mean, they have put in the rule. Okay, but there is a detailed separate document. Like if I want to become a remote pilot training organization, what are the requirements? Like how much area I would require for flying, how much what would be the size of my classroom, how many simulators I would require, how many instructors I would require, how my operations would be required, what kind of documentations I would be following, what kind of my training procedures would be there. All that things is defined into another document, okay, which we need to follow and get our organization or the location to be RPTO. Okay, so training requirements. Now see, this is very important. Okay. Part 8 talks about research, development and testing of drones. Okay, unmanned aircraft system operations for research, development, testing. The following person shall not require. So when you are doing research, development, testing, you don't require your drone to be a type certified because you are doing research. You are building a drone. You are working on some kind of technology. So that aircraft or that drone or unmanned aircraft system does not require type certification, does not require identification number, UI number, no prior permission or remote pilot license for operating unmanned aircraft system for research development and testing purpose, namely who can be exempted with this all these requirements. Any research development entity under administrative control or recognized by the central government or state government or union territory of administration. Any educational institutions under the administrative control of central government or state government or blah blah. Any startup recognized by Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. Any authorized testing entities. Any unmanned aircraft system manufacturing having GST number. But all these are exempted. Okay. But in what scenario? Provided that such unmanned aircraft system operation takes place within a green zone. Now they're saying you can do all these activities in green zone. Green zone has again a limitation of 400 feet height. So that height capping is there. Within the premises of a person where such research development testing is being carried out. That means you can't just go into open area and call it as a green zone and say I am doing my research and development and testing. Right? It needs to be somebody ownership within the premises of the person where such research development and testing. I mean, it could be an organization, it could be a OEM, it could be a person. Okay, is being carried out or within an open area in green zone under such person's control. Okay, so end of the day, it has to be some place belonging, some ownership has to be there to that place. Okay, then only you can conduct this thing, provided you are excluded from type certification, UI number, prior permission, and remote pilot license. So, if you are doing this, so a lot of people, though the green zone is there, there is a lot of challenges. So, a lot of people approaches us because our location of flying location is actually an authorized place. So a lot of people who are actually into making the drones have approached us for testing their drone at our site also, because that is a place which is under some person's control. It is under the green zone, okay, with all the facilities and limit, all the requirement for the conducting such kind of activity. So there are people who actually comes at our site when they wanted to do some kind of a testing or some kind of a evaluation of the product. They come on our site and they fly drones and test it for their requirement of documentation or going for a type certification. Okay, part 9, again this system is not evolved so much. So part 9 is basically about unmanned aircraft system. I talked about this. We still do not have a very mature platform of UTM in the system. DGCA is also migrating its platform from one website to another, and as well as there are some OEMs which are actually working on this kind of requirement of UTM with digital sky maps, but still they are not available for public officially. Okay. We have interacted with couple of OEMs which were actually offering this kind of services on a test case basis. Part 10th is basically for the insurance. Okay, we spoke about that every drone needs to be third party insurance except Nano. So Nano is been exempted for it. You don't require to be have a third party insurance. Unmanned aircraft system promotion. This is basically for the promotion purposes. So government of India releases lot of schemes, or some recently they have also introduced competitions, and they ask people also to promote as much as possible the drones into the Indian environment. Okay, so that's rule number 11, which talks about unmanned aircraft system promotions. Okay, to develop a friendly based regulatory regime included automated permission. So government also understand that we need to make it simpler. The rules need to be simpler. Not necessary, first go you will have a perfect rules. Okay, so as on when required, you might require to do some changes into your rules, some amendment as you start using on regular basis. Okay, so as we now come to know that micro category drones also needs to be having a license. If we are talking, I mean, somewhere there were some ambiguity in the wordings or the way the rules are been defined. So we may need some corrections into those rules. So establishment of incubators. So a lot of incubators have come up who are actually promoting the drone adoption, startups, and all this thing. Development of unmanned systems, involvement of industry experts and academic institutions in policy advices, etc. So a lot of universities, IITs, they have a separate groups which actually participates or work with various drone bodies related to government or uh, academic institutions, as well as the industry experts. I mean, there are some private parties also involved who are working with the government. There are some uh, academic institutions also working with governments, like IIT Mumbai is working with Maharashtra government to bring the drone policy for Maharashtra government. So they have released first draft document. Currently, they are working on that policy document. So maybe down the line, we will see the new policy document coming from the government of Maharashtra. Like recently, Madhya Pradesh has released their own policy document under the Drone Rules 2021 for promoting the usage of drone in the Madhya Pradesh state. So they are making mandatory in every school, colleges, drone education to be provided, or they wanted to make Madhya Pradesh to be a drone house for everything within the India entity. So they wanted. I mean, lot of states have started this, taking up this seriously. Like I could tell you, Telangana or Andhra Pradesh. These also are very on forefront. Even Uttar Pradesh, Haryana. These also states have adopted drone rules, and they have their own set of policies under the drone rules 2021, so that people can become aware more about the drones. They can have the usage of drones more and more, so that people can utilize drone for various activities, be it agriculture, be it for surveillance, be it for photography, or even organizations like governments have been started deploying the drones into their day-to-day day function. Like power line boards have already started deploying drones for monitoring their towers. Telecom industry also has adopted drones for monitoring their telecom towers, or even private sectors like windmill, solar energy companies have utilizing drones for monitoring their infrastructure, be it windmill or maybe even the irrigation department has started utilizing drones for monitoring their water reservoirs, dams, or the structural integrity of the dams, bridges, and all the things, the water bodies. Okay. Whereas part 12, as I said, we have 12 parts. So this is the last part which talks about the miscellaneous. So rule number 46, we have every time whenever we were trying to fill the form like D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, there was always mention of rule number 46. So rule number 46 is about fees. So issuance of type certificate 100 rupees, issuance, transfer and registration of UI number 100 rupees, issuance or renewal of remote pilot license is 100 rupees, and authorization or renewal of the RPTO authorization is 1000 rupees. So these are the fees what have been defined. So earlier we had something around 75 forms, and somewhere around fees were varying between 1000 rupees to 12,000 rupees to 25,000 rupees. So by drone rules 2021, from 75 forms they have brought it under only 5 forms, and fees is just within 1000 rupees. So that's the great move by the government of India, so that drone rules 2021 are being adopted and used, whether it is for creating a type certificate for drone, or maybe registering your drone, or maybe getting your license, or getting your RPTO authorized by DPC. They have kept it very simple. Please. Okay. Then there are some additional documents just to safeguard the central government power and other things. So general power to exempt, offense classification and company. No person shall carry out activity contravention to these rules. Means in case you break some rules from this drone rules 2021. Okay, so if you are caught for this, so they are not. You will not get the bail. Okay, they will put you front of the magistrate, and there where you have to justify your stance. Okay, then probably maybe magistrate wait depending upon your offense and all the things. He may ask you to leave some penalty or some what we call a case around you. Okay, so notwithstanding anything contained in the code of criminal procedures, okay, shall be cognizable and non-compatible. That means they will not give you the bail, but they will you have to appear in the court and justify yourself. Okay. In case you fail to do all these things, your license or anything could be cancelled or could be suspended, and you will be left with a penalty amount. Okay. So penalty again earlier it was somewhere more than 12 to 25 lakh rupees, but now it has been reduced to only 1 lakh rupees. Okay, because then people, if you levy heavy penalty, nobody will pay the penalty, and either you will say that I don't want to do this activity in itself. Okay, so you will not pay the penalty. But here, like very nominal penalty, what they have put it, so that in case you made some mistake or some non-compliance thing has happened to you, you can just simply pay the penalty and continue doing work. I mean, after just providing the justification and all. Whereas in 25 lakhs rupees pay, so you will say that I will not. Anyway, 25, who will pay 25 lakhs rupees? Nobody will pay. So they will say, okay, I don't want to do this kind of work itself. I will close down my business or anything like that. So that's why the penalty was also brought down. Power to inspect, we said that Director General has power to inspect anything and everything under the drone rules 2020. Okay. Obstructions, cancellations, saving certain rules, repelling and saving. Okay. And then we have all the 5 forms in this document. So form D1, type certificate, form D2 for UI number, D3 for deregistration and transfer of UIN number. D4 is for the pilot to be filled by the RPT. Okay, so it is our duty to fill it, this form, behalf of the student. Okay. And so when this seed, why you asked me this question, this nano micro is there. So when this document was made, that time it was not clear whether we are giving you license or not, okay, for this, any of this category or not. So they have just put whatever was mentioned as per the drone rules. Okay, so we have these categories, we have a subcategories, and we have these classes. So they have made a very unique form. Okay, you can select what is applicable and what is appropriate. Okay, so once you do the payment on the Bharat Post platform, you can mention that transaction number here and the fee receipt accordingly, and then you can submit to DPCA for generating your license through Digital Sky platform. Earlier, it was a procedure like that. Okay. D5 form is for application of authorized remote pilot training organization. Okay. So with this was just an overview of the drone rules. I will be sending this document on the end of the day, today's day, and there will be another document which I talked about is the summary sheet. Okay. So whatever we have seen in this module 1, you have everything mentioned in this. Okay. Whatever we have seen in that in the module 1, it's covered under this. So similarly, every module there would be a topic. Okay. So like that, all 11 modules are covered with this. So these two documents I will be sending you end of the day. You can take the printout of summary sheet and read, as well as if you feel that you want to read the drone rules, you can take the printout or you can read it in a soft copy format also. Okay. So any questions so far? I hope now drone rules are very clear.